Everyone, welcome to The Gentleman Strangers, episode 9. We're delighted to be here this wonderful December day. I don't know if it's wonderful for you. It's actually a bit grey and boring for us. But nevertheless, we are staring down the barrel of a season finale. This will be the end of Volume 1, which we've titled First Blood. The season end pretty much coincides with we're going to take a break for the rest of the year, and 9 episodes seems decent for a season. And to be honest, if the Gentleman Strangers achieve much more under the title First Blood, it will start to seem a bit weird. They've killed a lot of people, and it does seem a bit strange to keep calling it First Blood. So this seems like a nice time for season break, but as far as I know, the Gentleman Strangers will be resuming in January, so it won't be that much of a season break. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can influence the events of the stream through helps and hinders. You can help and hinder by hanging out in the chat and accruing trash bags, which you can spend on minor helps and hinders. You can spend those anytime. I'll try to resolve them as soon as possible. They're pretty simple little mechanical things. If you want to spend human money, you can do so via a button below me. And moderate, would you call them moderate? Is that right? Yeah, moderate helps and hinders can have quite a significant impact on the current session or the current sort of immediate quest line. Major helps and hinders, you and I will conspire between sessions and we will come up with something that will have an impact on the entire campaign going forward. They're a lot of fun. Well, they're a lot of fun for me. They're not always fun for the players, but that's okay, that's fine. So let's jump right in. We've got a lot going on in this season finale. Last time, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Hound was sent on a special mission by Seamus McCreary while his comrades attended an auction to try to get a hold of a set of occult books which they could not afford. That heist went about as successfully as it could have done. I think they left a handful of books behind, but they've managed to secure their occult library nonetheless. And Mr. Hound was sent to kill a young woman who had previously been incarcerated by the McCrearys around about the same time that Mr. Cutter was himself incarcerated by the McCrearys, and was instructed to kill her, but Mr. Hound found that he would rather not, and has instead offered to provide her with temporary asylum while she figures out a way to slip out of McCreary's territory unnoticed. Mr. Hound has taken the route of claiming that he has in fact killed and disposed of the young woman whose name we've learned is Amelia. I think we are going to pick things up immediately after we left them, which is the Mr. Slide, Mr. Spider, and Mr. Cutter arriving from the auction house with their valise full of books on the occult, and they have come down into the secret compartment in the cellar of the Millennium Club to find not only Mr. Hound, but a young woman who is marveling at her surroundings. So let me set the scene for you. The three of you coming down into this. Amelia is in her mid to late 20s. There's something about the very slight tan of her skin and details of her facial features that you would find hard to describe that make her seem, shall we say, ethnically ambiguous. There's nothing about her behavioral speech that suggests she was born anywhere other than England. A white European might take her heritage for Indian, but if asked, neither Mr. Hound nor Mr. Cutter would say so. She is perhaps 5'6" tall and is dressed rather practically. This, combined with her very dark brown hair, recently and rather hastily cut short, might cause her to be mistaken for a man, nothing out of place among the gentlemen strangers. Mr. Spider, you recognize something else about her after a few minutes of conversation. She's educated. Perhaps not formally, but Mr. Spider, you of all people recognize a decently sharp and curious intellect almost certainly informed by, at the very least, a lifetime of literacy. To Mr. Slide, something else is making itself clear. Her upbringing was not a poor one, or even anywhere in the mercantile or industrial segments of society. If you were to lay money on it, her father is likely a doctor, a lawyer, or an academic.
Oh, okay, so she's still middle class.
Certainly, she is what the middle class would call upper middle class in their pretentious moments. Certainly not posh, but what your father would probably concede as well enough bred. Her accent, posture, and the way she addresses you all, despite being very much at disadvantage, are behaviors that are impossible to fake in front of someone like Christopher Wick, who's grown up around these sorts of people. And Mr. Cutter, you of course have seen this woman under entirely different circumstances and with somewhat longer hair, and you can tell from the way that she keeps making fleeting eye contact with you that she seems very keen to speak to you in private. But for the time being, you've come upon her, and she's made sort of introductions. So you know that her name is Amelia, but nothing else has happened. So I'm sure we should jump right in and see how the conversation goes.
I quickly jump in briefly because it's driving me nuts. Mike, check your fucking messages again. You've mixed us up again.
Oh no.
I can't unsee it. I'm really sorry.
No, it's quite all right.
Kath tries so hard to privately message you so as not to disrupt flow, and you never pay attention to her.
It's 'cause
Okay,
I have-
but also I have been like holding in that everybody got haircuts, and I'm living for it. But like I joined the Zoom too late to say anything, and I think it looks good, even though I missed the potential man buns because we all know that's my weakness.
Full confession, Bree. This is not a haircut. This is the result of me taking a pair of scissors and a barber's beard trimmer and just going, fuck it. So I cut my hair down to about 2 centimeters, and then I went.
Could have fooled me. It's a good look.
That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And
minus the beard trimmers.
I went to a salon.
No, as in, it's not a beard trimmer, it's a proper hair trimmer that I used to buzz my hair, and he's making himself more rustic than he is.
I use it as a beard trimmer.
Yes.
But
Catherine,
it is a proper
Catherine,
I did not get my hair cut, but I did find my better wig, which has pleased me tremendously.
Catherine, my best friend in the whole world, I would like to point out that at no point when I sent you a screenshot of yourself in the window did you point out that you had the wrong window.
Was it?
Didn't notice, to be honest, at that point.
Making me the victor.
Shamefully, I looked at it and didn't notice either. I didn't notice at all.
No,
I did notice, but I was just excited to be Mr. Slide.
So yeah, let's
So there's another woman. There's a lot of women in this place now.
Let's get to it.
So who has the valise? Sorry, was my question.
I don't know.
Cutter, not. I assume Cutter's
quite
carrying
big.
the heavy
It's
thing.
probably Mr. Cutter, given the weight of it.
So, given what's happened during the conversation, Mr. Spider has been very carefully angling himself so that he has stood between Mr. Cutter and Amelia.
Protect the books.
I do apologize. I'm beginning to get the impression that I might be intruding.
Mm,
Do we need tea?
yes.
I would enjoy some tea, if there's tea.
I suppose I'll make tea.
Would you like me to make tea? I don't know where anything is, but
No, I'll find it.
No, that's not a great idea. I
Okay.
think I'll make the
Yes,
tea.
that would be a good idea.
I would say, Mr. Cutter, perhaps you and I should take the suitcase elsewhere.
All right, but Mr. Hound is not making the tea.
May I make a suggestion? It seems to me as though you might have some questions for me, but it also that you might want to talk about me, which is difficult if I'm in the room with you. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to shuttle me off somewhere safe so you can do that. I wouldn't be offended. I understand my appearance here might be a bit of a. Gosh, you are all. You look quite
Yes.
I don't know. I'm getting impressions of Scarlet Pimpernel.
Yes, that's right. I will take that. That's fine. Oh, yes, Miss.
Have I given her a surname?
What?
Amelia.
You can call me Amelia, please. Amelia.
Well, Miss Amelia, then yes, if you would possibly sit in one of the, I'm sorry to say, deeply decrepit rooms upstairs, while we can talk, and I'm sure someone will bring you tea very shortly, because I think we're all going to need a spot of tea, and then we can have a desperately needed conversation.
Yes, Mr. Hound, you may share anything that I've divulged to you. Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm sure this won't take long. Just a little bit of ironing out.
No, of course. And if any of you want to ask me for any more details, I mean, I'm obviously entirely, as you'll discover, entirely at your mercy. I'll go and make myself scarce.
I'm quite certain we shall have questions.
Great. Trit trit.
So
Alright.
good news.
Carter, make the tea, please. Please, if you please, Carter, that would be very appreciated.
Slide briefly remembers that Cutter is not their butler.
God damn it! That was peak fucking
That was amazing.
mean prefect.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'll leave the room. Dick.
Go to where the tea is being made.
Okay.
Slide will usher this to be a walk and talk while
Yeah.
we make tea.
Oh, you're following me.
I think you're all in the same place.
The
Yes, I
issue is more who's competent at making tea. That's
I thought
the
you were getting
problem.
rid of me too.
Oh no. Slide
No,
clearly
no
doesn't.
girls in this conversation.
No, I
Slide
feel like
doesn't know how to make tea as well as he should.
Cutter definitely misread that situation though. So when everyone starts following him, he'll be like, okay.
It's.
I have.
A library, you're welcome.
No, I'm in a remarkably unique position in my life. I have very few words to explain what I am feeling right now.
Good.
Who the hell is she?
Okay. You're gonna laugh.
I
Am I?
No.
really doubt it.
So, good news is, I am, for the death of one of McCreary's boots on the grounds, clear of my blood tithe.
Really
Mhm.
asked us to adopt. No, I said I would hold my questions, and I shall hold my questions until you are done explaining.
I ask you to make good on that promise, because this one's going to twist and turn, but the conclusion is well worth hearing.
I shall
So,
have to take you on your credit on that, Mr. Hound.
I was sent to go and kill someone.
I expected.
McCreary's people have seen me bring a body out of a house and take it away. The astute among you, which I think is all of you, will notice the careful phrasing of what I have just said. That Amelia is the person I was sent to kill. She, and she can corroborate this, is no threat to McCreary. She is just a loose end to some bad business her father and brother got snagged up in. What's more, she is astute enough to figure out from me at a mere glance and a sniff that I had been dabbling in practices of the supernatural, making her a useful asset and ally. She has every intention, once she is able to, once she has earned our trust, just vanish off into the night and never be seen around London again. But until such times, she has given herself over as my ward, so that she might never be seen on the streets, and so to help corroborate the idea that McCreary's job was done. And again, thus resolving us from that immediate pressure.
So we're not in McCreary's debt at the moment. or at least you specifically.
Not unless he finds out I didn't actually kill her.
Well, to me, he's just a massive liar, because you remember that one time in the pub where he said, "Oh, I didn't mean her any harm." And this is Cutter trying to mimic McCreary, and it's real bad. And clearly he was lying to our faces after he said, "I don't need to lie." But he did lie because he wanted her dead, and I knew it. I knew it.
In McCreary's meager defense on that point,
No.
he might have upgraded her to being wanted dead the moment she escaped. But I'm not really that invested in giving him any kind words or benefit of the doubt.
Oh, right. Right.
Who is she? It appears that you have some prior.
Oh. Sorry.
You're mentioning conversations that
yes,
McCreary's
and
had
you-
about her, and Cutter.
You
seems
weren't
to-
there. And so one time I was kidnapped by McCreary.
Yes.
Right. While I was kidnapped, Amelia was also kidnapped, and they were treating her horribly. So obviously I had to beat them all up. And accidentally, one of McCreary's men may have stepped in the way of a bullet,
Mm-hmm.
as things happen sometimes. When what I'm trying to say is that I didn't like the way McCreary. I don't like him. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm making tea.
That's quite all right, Cutter. At the peril of asking something bloody obvious, what was there anything specific about how McCreary's mob were treating her that was a cause of specific aggravation?
Well, at one point they did pull her by the hair, which I assume is why she's cut it off now. And I couldn't stand for that. I couldn't let that happen.
All right.
So they deserved to be beaten up and, accidentally found themselves dead a little bit. I have a lot of feelings, and I'm not used to feelings. Is this tea's? Here's tea.
Thank you.
That didn't answer the question of how did she know you were dabbling in the cult things? How much of this place has she seen, Mr. Hound?
Just the ladder up from the canals, basement, and now whichever room she's in.
The basement where the orb and the strange door is that may have possessed one or more of us?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought her in via the... No?
Rather
No.
than the front door, yeah.
No,
Because
I am
again,
not. I am not using rhetorical questions. I have decided I shall not use rhetorical questions. They achieve nothing. I am going to ask constructive questions. Why here?
there was nowhere else I could safely take her and keep her detained in a way
Not have
that...
an apartment or friends or a ruffian with a holding cell of your acquaintance?
Not easily accessible from the canals and out of sight, no.
Ability is a very fluid concept, Mr. Hound. Whilst this place is indeed physically accessible, it ought not to be accessible to people we do not know. It ought to be an impenetrable fortress to people we do not know.
On the contrary, Mr. Spider, the impenetrability of it was one of the reasons why it seemed such a good place to detain or ward. I didn't want us to be seen on the streets again anytime soon.
May I bring this back a step? And understand, I'm not asking this with any prejudice. I simply wish to comprehend your reasoning. Why didn't you kill her?
I think, were this a TV series, we'd see a flashback to that point. And I think there'd be a point where you see Hound's hand on the hilt of his pistol, and it's trembling. And then it just cuts back to the present.
I think it cuts back to Cutter glaring horrifically at Mr. Slide. And then it like pans the focus to Mr. Hound, who's going to say something.
I happened to hear something in a tone of voice that made me want to pay her my mind. And then she convinced me not to kill her. Few people get that opportunity.
Yes, it's that latter perspective of yours which made me confused as to why. Honestly, look, I'm perfectly happy for us to not be taking options of killing people.
No, of course, but given that you were quite happy to summarily execute a man whose job was, as far as we know, the transport of human beings across the town, in what I will point out is a criminal enterprise in London. At no point have we decided that we are taking upon the purpose of the Gentlemen Strangers to fight all the criminal enterprises of London simply because they looked at us askance.
The only other thing to add to that is she had the advantage. She was higher up than me. She knew the layout of the building that I was in. She'd already realised I was in there. And the words that came out of her mouth were, "This isn't going to go the way you think it's going to go." And that's not what someone that's afraid for their life says. That's what someone that's very confident in their capacity says. But maybe shut up and think.
All right, I have two points on that. One, did that actually make you not kill her? Was fear of her as a threat actually contribute to your decision to spare her? And also, does that mean that she's quite handy and is here?
I don't really know the degrees to which she might be handy. It was, as I say, enough to give me a pause for thought.
So, in fact, you did not kill her simply because normally you don't stop to think, and this time you stopped to think.
Sure. That serves my purposes, he thinks, quite smiling to himself.
No rhetorical questions, no rhetorical questions. No. No. No, it is harder than it looks. So now that you have quite thoroughly instructed, where will you take her now that you have time?
Oh, I wasn't planning to take her anywhere else.
No.
There's plenty of room. We could get a couple of cots in here, make it quite comfortable.
The lack of facilities is not my issue with your plan.
May I ask, why did you not get her to immediately flee the city?
Oh, no, I remember the reason. I was about to ask Luke out of character. That hesitation was Mike's, not Hound's. The moment she's out of my sight, I have no... Other than what little trust she's gained from me at the moment, I have no idea that she's not going to come wandering back to try and regain the life that she'd be leaving behind. She's here to earn my trust.
You've basically now abducted a woman.
I think that's a strong but not inaccurate
Is she
word.
allowed to leave?
No.
Then you've abducted her. Now, again, I'm not entering into the morality of this because I'm not going to suggest that it would have been a more moral decision to kill her. I'm just trying to get to comprehend the situation that we are in, which is now that we are imprisoning a woman in our clubhouse until we think that she's all right and won't screw us over.
Yep.
Because keeping her here, potentially against her will, is certainly going to engender her trust and affection and support for us.
It might if I bring her this tea.
That's a very good start.
Given that this is a woman who none of us know and who you have brought to this house without consulting any other members of this consortium, I'm continuing to have unconstructive rhetorical questions.
I assure you, if I had the capacity to wander away from the would-be murder, summon you all, have a brief tete-a-tete.
Now, I am very aware, Mr. Hound, that despite my many notions to the contrary, you are not stupid. Therefore, you know that is not what I meant. You have come here full of brazen flash, believing that what you have done is superior and that we will all come around to your way of thinking in time. What you have done is remarkably foolish, incredibly damaging, and has caused long-term consequences for this group that I cannot even begin to calculate.
Seems to me, if I may be so bold, and I'm gonna be, I've traded one set of long-term consequences, which were again of my fault because I was trying to defend Mr. Cutter, for another. And this set of long-term consequences has seen me not kill someone, which I think will endear her to me a little.
Excellent. Endearing her to you is definitely the plan. I'm glad that we've now... No.
It is, unfortunately, the plan. At present, I'm comprehending all of your struggles with this Mr. Spider. However, from the perspective of the situation that we are in, the only way forward which we are going to take is the idea of her being released once we are confident she would not betray our confidences, because we're not going to murder her. Are we?
If I was going to murder her, I'd have done it by now.
Killing her can be on the potential contingencies list.
Another glare.
She is simply an incredibly chaotic and unknown agent in the middle of a situation that was already impossible to control.
I mean, it's pretty well controlled. She doesn't get to leave.
Oh, good. So we've trapped her in here with our books and our resources and our potentially dangerous magical objects.
Makes a very fair point there.
Well, we could invest in some locks, stop her getting access to the library or the basement without supervision.
No,
and the front door, so she can't leave the house.
No, you know we invested in quarters and not internal locking mechanisms when we upgraded the base. Don't be meta, Michael.
She also... Don't be meta. One thing I think it's still worth considering is the fact that she actually has her head screwed on about the occult.
Oh, the last thing we want is for her to be filling your head with more of that nonsense.
On the contrary, I'd rather learn from someone that knew what they were doing than try and figure it out myself. It's hard. I can't.
So, are you proposing, Mr. Hound, that we keep this woman?
Yep.
She is never allowed to leave this house.
Yep.
But she's not for the foreseeable future allowed to leave this house.
Yeah.
But you are proposing that she is given free reign and access to our books and our magical equipment so that she may help and assist us throughout our supernatural understandings.
She's not having access to the books.
Supervised access.
Supervised by people who probably know less about the occult than she does.
Or Mr. Hound, supervised by whom?
Me, Cutter, either of you?
Yes. I understand that you have decided to full-time adopt this would-be murder victim as your ward? That aside, the rest of us have lives and left our resources in this club safe in the knowledge that we would return, knowing that only other members of this consortium would have access to them.
Oh, I'm not
Why?
supervising her.
I do not have time to return here constantly and supervise her having access to our resources, but now it seems that I must.
I mean, we could figure something out. I'm basically a freelancer. I can work
Mr.
around
Hound,
Cutter's
you
shifts.
will, Mr. Hound, you will forgive me. I do not trust you in this matter, which means I am instead trusting Mr. Cutter and Mr. Slide, both gentlemen who are incredibly busy. And
I think that you supervising her, Mr. Hound, feels a little naive. If she goes, how about I show you a spot of magic? And you go, oh, that sounds like a splendid idea. And then suddenly she's walked through the door and has wandered off into, the world to be safe. Because the problem which I keep on coming up with here is either we are trusting her, if we trust her with all this access and all this information and a certain amount of freedom within the house, at which point, why don't we trust her to not simply go? Or we do not trust her to not give us up, at which case she is a potential threat. She is either a threat or she is not a threat.
You raise an excellent point. And I, the gun-toting ragamuffin that I am never going to be the person what convinces you of her trust. That's going to be her. I would wager, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I've given you...
You don't trust her.
What?
You don't trust her.
I trust her a bit more.
But you don't trust her enough to let her go.
Not yet. I will. So she might be useful.
How do you know that you will? Surely you don't trust her because you don't know enough about her, and maybe when you learn more about her, you might not trust her.
Mr. Slide, as usual, speaks my mind far more eloquently than I could.
I still think best call.
Do you?
I do, frequently. And often I have to make decisions. And yeah, so far, 2 of the decisions that I've made in the heat of the moment have come back to deal terrible wrath upon us. I would thank you, Mr. Spider, if you give some degree of, if not trust, capacity for me to act within my best interests. Because I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one of us that makes a mistake doing all of this. Now, my cards are on the table. You know what I did, you know why I made the decision, and we are all in the same boat. There's nothing more you're going to get from me that will reveal, like a light from the Lord, some new truth to this affair. I think you should talk to her.
I think you've bloody well trapped us, Hound. And I, for one, don't appreciate that. And I think you are being incredibly reckless about your own judgment, which makes me reluctant to trust you until I am confident that you have thought this through, which I do not believe that you have. Which makes it very difficult because you have landed us in this situation. I do not believe you have thought it through, and I resent having to supervise this woman, continue to take security measures around this woman. If you are simply going, it's a done deal and there is nothing more to say to you. Because this situation is complex and it needs managing. Now, I am not in favor of you killing her. I am not in favor. I have never been in favour of the somewhat cavalier attitude towards lives that has been taken occasionally within this group. And so
why we are in this situation in the first place.
Yes, and so I am irate that now I dislike the inconsistency in this. I do not believe all people are equal, not at all. The idea that she is exactly the same as some scum of McCreary's is not tenable, but you have consistently implied that you are a thoughtless, cold-hearted killer, and have rejected our challenges to any of the notion of the alternative. Now I have run out of constructive things to say.
I do trust you, Mr. Hound. I have been forced to trust you by the very nature of the business that we all undertake. I have trusted you enormously so far, up to and including not informing McCreary's of your crime, because I understood the context it was in, and you undertook to make amends to Mr. McCreary. As much as we may not like him, we do not have to. He is one of an infinite number of criminal bosses that operate within this city and within this country. I have no more problem with him than I do with any of them. I would rather they did not exist in a civilized society, but I think you, more than any of us, Mr. Hound, understand the world that he comes from. However, as you say, operating within your own judgment so far has proven you to have a relatively terrible batting average. And it's reaching the point that I do not trust your judgment, which is not some unfair grasping at straws I have done. It is a calculated response to the stimuli you have provided me. If you wish for me to trust your judgment, then show me your judgment is trustworthy. I'm not a complicated man, Mr. Hound. I am a rational creature who responds entirely to the facts that I am presented with.
You are right, and not one of you dobbed me into McCreary. That is right and fair. And Mr. Slide, you are right in that I have trapped us. And I think to a degree we've all been trapped one way or another. The judgment I made in its simplest terms. What McCreary was asking for wasn't fair. He's done nothing to him. Nothing at all. And I'm sorry that this has come upon us.
I was waiting for the apology. I do not appreciate the use of the passive voice in it, but I understand its sentiment.
Well, there's no need for us to get soppy about this whole thing.
Very well, go and fetch your ward then, I suppose.
Righto.
First that last dog, and now the...
I'll trudge upstairs and fetch Amelia.
I think you find her sort of sitting down, looking incredibly worried. I heard raised voices.
I'm not an easy person to get on with, if I'm honest.
Mr. Hound, I've gotten you in trouble somehow, haven't I?
I've gotten myself in trouble by not consulting them before taking action, but I'm writing it.
I suppose it would be pointless of me to suggest that I could just slip away now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd probably go
understand.
poorly for us.
No,
Definitely
no.
me.
Well, it would be my death sentence, Mr. Hound.
Why don't you come on down and meet him? I know Cutter's eager to see.
Cutter,
Tall. Turban.
She genuinely blushes. Oh yes, my knight in shining armor. Yes, of course.
Go on.
That was a great scene. Guys, that was. I'm so glad I wasn't in it because I got to watch it. That was fantastic. That was some superb arguing. I love that.
Gosh.
That was a masterclass in intra-party disagreement. That was genuinely beautiful. Thank you for that. I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, Amelia will come down looking just as sheepish and nervous as I've implied.
I think for my part, and Kath might disagree, but I think while Mr. Hound is away, Mr. Spider is going to have sort of rolled his shoulders and sort of put his book down and stopped clenching his jaw quite so much. Ask Custer just to slide the valise out of the parlor wherever we're having tea, and we'll have set up a cup for Amelia and like shifted from we are having an argument to, oh, we have a guest. If we have a guest, I guess we're being polite about it.
Yes.
Like the prefects might be snarky, but they are gentlemen.
Quite. My dear, please sit down and have some tea.
Thank you.
Amelia, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, I am Mr. Slide. This is Mr. Spider, and obviously you know Mr. Cutter.
Not by name, but yes, it's good to see you again.
Yes,
Like what you've done with your hair. Smart.
A necessity.
yes, I imagine attempting to hide from McCreary.
Something like that, yes, Mr. Spider. Something like that.
Well, I'm glad you got away.
I would not have gotten away had it not been for Mr. Hound's intervention. Had McCreary sent one of his own men after me, I feel sure I would not have done.
I think you could have taken one of them.
There is not a square inch of Camden, apparently outside of wherever this place is, that McCreary does not have eyes on. Had I not been brought here, I would now be in a nameless grave.
Yes. On that subject, Miss Amelia, this facility is deliberately designed such that we, the consortium known as the Gentlemen's Strangers, may operate with relative liberty and security. While, of course, we are all very glad that you did not meet an untimely end at the hands of one of McCreary's ruffians, Mr. Hound's bringing you here has constituted something of a security risk. Therefore, we understand that you and Mr. Hound have an agreement, but we must ask that you do not leave or interfere with the premises.
I'm entirely at your mercy. If you should dictate that I am to remain in one room, then I shall remain in one room, one floor, and so on. I will not trespass.
That wouldn't be entirely necessary. We should be allowed to make some allowances for comfort.
I will assume that it would not be in my interests to venture into or inquire further about your cellar.
No.
Understood. The matter is quite forgotten.
Because we're not going to just keep you here until we all horribly die, or you horribly die, or something dreadful happens. At a hypothetical end, do you have somewhere to go?
No, I don't think I do.
No friends in the north or abroad, or
the extent of my plan, Mr. Slide, was to leave London. Where I go from there, I don't know.
Well,
do you have any coin, means of making your own way? If ignoring the security of getting you out of the city, if we were to get you out of the city, what would you do?
I suppose you must think it sounds awfully naive of me, but the horrible truth is that no, I don't have a penny on me.
It's not horribly naive. A young lady in your situation, if no one to account for you or provide for you, it's not at all a surprise.
I believe what
Lovely.
Mr. Slide is implying is that, Miss Amelia, as it stands, you have fallen under our care, and it would not behove us to reach a stage of understanding with you, only to cast you into the street. So once you feel we have reached an understanding about security, I'm quite confident that Miss Slide and I can arrange something for you, perhaps in the North Country.
I'm very grateful for the suggestion, but of course I understand that it would be an imposition.
Well,
No
your
imposition. Your life and security would mean that you would not feel the need to return to your resources in London, which would only secure our holdings here. Also, we would not wish for you to suffer unnecessarily after getting to know one another a little better.
not to mention the fact of the idea that we could simply not engage in McCreary's wanton brutality at absolutely no expense to ourselves is frankly a daydream.
May I ask, what exactly is your relationship with McCreary?
We operate in Camden.
Oh, I see, yes. But not directly in some form of vassalage.
Our relationship to McCreary is entirely involuntary.
Yes.
However, our relationship to McCreary must be cooperative, lest we are to draw further ire. The more we tug at the leash, the more he is inclined to pull it.
Oh, yes, yes, I know very well what Seamus McCreary is capable of.
But now we owe him nothing, and would like to keep him at arm's length.
On the contrary, Mr. Slide, you still owe him my life. He simply does not realize it at this moment.
Well, I think at this point, if he were to discover our subterfuge, there's a certain amount of interest which is accumulating with every passing second, so...
Oh, yes. Oh, Mr. Hound has risked a great deal in saving me, and I'm incalculably grateful.
You said, Miss Amelia, that you did not believe there was an inch of Camden that Mr. McCreary was not aware of what was going on in. Does he have informants everywhere?
Oh, yes, yes.
Fascinating.
Magical and mundane, Mr. Spider. He certainly has sorcerers on his payroll.
There is a time, Miss Amelia, that I would not have believed you when you had told me that. That time is long past.
That time may well have coincided with... Oh no, I promise not to bring that up.
You may mention it, you just may not go poking about in it.
Then I was going to say, I suppose that time might have coincided somewhat with your discovery of whatever that strange sphere was in your cellar.
My personal discovery came a little before that, but yes.
That thing absolutely stinks.
Quite.
Stinks?
Of the occult.
And what is your knowledge in that field, Miss Amelia?
Very little theoretical. I was raised in large part by my aunts, and they had an interest in these things. In fact, it was not until I was 12 that I was released back into the care of my father. My late father, I should say.
I'm going to presume that regrettably your aunts are no longer with us.
They still live. They still live. They're
they are
south
not-
south of the river.
And they are not, however, they are not an option for providing security, or you would run the risk of bringing McCreary down upon their heads.
You understand exactly.
Very well.
To be honest, they severed ties with our side of the family after my brother's irresponsibility. I do not know exactly how much Mr. Hound has told you of my circumstances.
Very little.
My brother gambled not merely as a vice, but as a compulsion. And I'm afraid that the establishments he ended up gambling in were ultimately run by McCreary's outfit.
Ah.
Several unpaid debts later saw both him and my father dead. And I suppose that I was a matter of honor after that. McCreary seemed to believe initially that I possessed some inheritance from my father that I could use to pay those debts. I assured him, as I assure you now, nothing could be farther from the truth. Our money was quite dried up well before my brother gambled it all away in IOUs. McCreary did not take that to be true, and believed, therefore, that the only way to reconcile the matter was to make sure that my brother's immediate family were expunged completely.
Fascinatingly, however, if he believed that your family had vast resources that they did not have, it means he does not know everything. I'm sorry, it is a side thought.
No, McCreary surely does not know everything. But I remind you that my family does not live in Camden.
However, I think Mr. Spider provides, whilst we are, of course, highly cautious of Mr. McCreary, it is always dangerous if one turns one's foes into monsters who cannot possibly be outwitted or deceived in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I had managed some deception. There were a few matters I was able to take care of before McCreary tracked me down. Mr. Cutter will recall the day that I was caught at last. I never got a chance to thank you, Mr. Cutter. You certainly saved my life.
No thanks needed, but I appreciate it.
I can attest, Miss Amelia, Mr. Cutter was frightfully wounded that you had been so ill-used. He expressed great sentiments about it.
My death at McCreary's hands would not have been a quick one. They never are.
I did have one question. You mentioned knowing something about McCreary having eyes everywhere. Do you happen to know where these eyes are? And maybe if they can be turned off?
I am aware of McCreary's continual and widespread surveillance of Camden only because I needed to be to move freely through it, or somewhat freely through it. As for specifics, there are one or two places I know are particular hubs of activity for his outfit. There are one or two occultists I think might have taken commission from McCreary, but could not be completely certain.
I suppose we could impose upon you to record at least the everything that you have on his outfit, including suppositions such of that ilk. It may. We are not necessarily as aware as it seems we should be of his operations.
I will certainly make myself useful.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Spider goes to fetch his big ledger.
Oh, now later, I think possibly. I think.
Are you positioning yourselves in opposition to McCreary?
We are no friends of McCreary's. We wish to ensure that we are able to operate in safety.
Yes, we have no means to even begin to challenge him, and nor do we have the. After all, if he were to fall, some other wretched vermin would simply rise up and fill his place, and then You know, better
Well.
the devil you know, so to speak.
Certainly, that's true. I mean, for one thing, you must remember that... Never mind.
Please.
No, it does not matter.
However, we would like to know when we step on his toes and when we do not.
I assume, based on how long Mr. Hound and I were in transit, though I was not sensed at the time that we were traveling, that we are still in Camden somewhere. Unless we were traveling east, which I do not believe was the case. In which case, in theory, you are walking on Mr. McCreary's toes as surely as you are walking upon the pavement. If he believes that you are his enemies, then you are in a very great deal of immediately mortal peril.
He does not. At present, we have an accord. And it is intention for us to retain that accord, because anything else, it seems very apparent, would be suicide.
Yes. Oh yes, McCreary is much more than he seems.
Not to mention that we have, as I say, no designs upon the criminal underworld and enterprises of which he will focus himself upon.
You. No, I suppose it's none of my business to ask. No.
You may ask.
Well, it's this this extraordinary ambiance, the secrecy, the strange occult gewgaws in your cellar, the disguises. It's all rather theatrical, and it strikes me that you're not very theatrical people. And no one in God's island of Britain is called Mr. Spider. I'm not asking a question. I'm simply observing that it's obvious to me that you have interests in far more interesting things than getting rid of a crime lord.
In fact, we have...
Not that McCreary is simply a crime lord. He is complicated, as anyone is.
Well, I suppose we should make your arrangements for staying here, at least for the immediate.
Yes.
And I'm sure that Mr. Hound will make sure that you have everything that you require.
If it wouldn't be terribly inconvenient, it would be very helpful to me if you would be specific on precisely what it is I am and am not permitted to do while I'm staying here. I would not wish to fall afoul of something unspoken.
I believe we're in agreement that you may not leave the house, and we're in agreement that you may not enter the cellar. Do not engage in any magical practices without our permission or supervision.
I don't engage in magical practices. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Very well.
It doesn't stop some of us.
And I think we will have to define, yes, what freedoms you have within the house, but I have no intention of us locking you in a room and sliding a bowl of gruel in daily. That's barbaric. I would like very much if we can make arrangements, even if it's just for one of the floors to be for your use or something of that ilk. But we were not anticipating having a permanent guest in residence.
As soon as it is possible for me to leave and you feel that you can trust me to do so without revealing any of your secrets, I will do so.
We will thus have to consider that escape route.
It's worth bearing in mind that there is no one to whom I could possibly reveal your secrets. I have no friends in London now. And with no disrespect intended, I have no interest in any of your secrets. It is quite clear to me that you are engaging in some enterprise far beyond my comprehension, and I've had quite enough of that.
Quite. In fact, it seems that we are mostly in a situation that we have nowhere secure for you to go.
You do not need to concern yourself with that.
Oh, my dear, if we were simply to toss you onto the next carriage to Manchester, what on earth would happen to you next?
Very good question. I have no answer.
It's not simply enough for us to simply say that we will spare your life. You actually have to send you off to something. Otherwise, it's just as good as sending you off into a poorhouse, and who knows what's going to happen to you next.
For almost seemingly no reason, she completely breaks down into tears at that.
Oh, my dear.
Do forgive me. Do forgive me. I'm sorry.
Mr. Slide is going to get punched in the shoulder.
It is only that I've been quite alone, and I know that we are not friends. But you've been better to me than any of my truer friends, and I thank you.
Oh, little purpose in taking responsibility, my dear, unless one actually takes responsibility.
Right. I must go and see to the library. Pleasure to meet you, Miss Amelia. I'm certain we shall run into one another again in the house.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Gentlemen. Mr. Spider doesn't have a library yet, but he's going to go set it up. He doesn't want to be in the room of the crime.
Right, how about then, Hound, you and I will take stock of the premises, see what arrangements can be made for now, see what arrangements will be made in the short term, and Carter, you can keep Miss Amelia company and in tea.
Sounds good to me.
Right? It wasn't a hard punch.
Yes, but I'm
punch
assuming
to me
that
is a hard
Cutter is swole.
It was one of those like, idiot. But oops.
Yeah, and Slide's a fucking delicate.
I know.
Slide is so soft. So
He's
gonna bruise.
Hilarious.
He is
like a
dandy
peach.
boy.
Slight himbo energy.
I love how we've established that Slide is like this rather than going flying, and yet I've got like 3 dots in skirmish. Slide's pretty.
Because Mr. Slide, despite being a sort of dandy twink, is also someone that's like, I know, in a fight, go for the eyes. Because if you go for the eyes, they don't know what to do about it.
He is also the biggest drama queen, and I can't believe that Amelia implied that they were all not theatrical by nature. Excuse me.
Especially since he's on the board of the theatre.
Bish, what? I would like to say officially, since I am president of the anti-Amelia fan club in character, I would like to join the pro-Amelia fan club out of character because I think she's dope.
She's a fucking delight.
Awesome.
Can we keep her?
We
You
can,
don't have a
literally.
choice.
That's the gift.
Our murder hobo, after being like, oh, you can't expect anything of me other than being a murder hobo, is like, I brought a home.
My
You
name
can't
is
be
not
mad at
important.
me."
I have no pity. I am without sympathy. I will adopt you, woo.
Congratulations, Mike. You're officially playing every LARPer who tries to LARP. I am big tough murder man. I care not for anything. But I love this.
You made Luke say ooh woo live on stream.
You got
I
an
feel
ooh
like
woo
that's
out of
just
me.
peak.
Yeah. So Amelia and Cutter are left alone to sip tea.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm glad you managed to escape yourself. Though I'm not surprised, given how fiercely you went after them.
I'm not proud of how it all went down. I would have preferred to ensure your safety, but I am glad that you found safety. Only you didn't find tea. Don't ramble in front of the cute girl, you idiot.
I have found a reprieve, which is more than I could have hoped for. I'm afraid that Mr. Spider would rather I simply disappeared.
Mr. Spider would rather a lot of things disappeared. I wouldn't take it personally. He might not be happy about the situation, but not everyone shares his thoughts on the matter.
I'm so glad to see you again. I know it's the strangest thing, but this whole time I've been feeling so anxious that I should never see you and be able to thank you.
And I've been wondering how you got on after you vanished into the night.
Poorly, but unfortunately I've made an enemy of a man who might as well be king in this part of London, so...
Well, I know we're not supposed to take sides or step on any toes, but that man deserves a grave, and he doesn't deserve to go into that grave quickly, as far as I'm concerned. Not all of us agree on that either, but
No.
as long as I'm involved, he will not touch you again. And his goons will not touch you again. God, they are so... I don't know where he finds them. Probably at the bottom of gutters. I haven't met a single one that could string together a sentence coherently. T.
The more strategically minded of his henchmen he keeps very close to himself, I have no doubt. He's not without guile. The problem is that he's everywhere.
Well, I do feel we need more influence before we can do anything about it. And as long as we're working towards that goal, well, as long as I'm working towards that goal, you are welcome here. And if anyone says differently, they can talk to me about it. We'll see how that conversation goes.
Mr. Cutter, I know that I'm in no position to offer you advice, but I would leave it where McCreary is concerned. He is a force of nature in Camden. He is a reality. And he has allies.
Of course he does.
Unfortunately, part of the reason I was in the predicament that you found me in was because rather than simply leaving London when I had the opportunity, I decided I would look into things. I can't help it. It's an unfortunate side effect of my upbringing. I always feel that I must dig out all of the facts, and by the time I'd realized exactly how extensive McCreary's outfit was and exactly how invulnerable it was to any sort of subterfuge, I was completely surrounded by it. If they truly don't know that you're here, then you're very lucky.
No, you're right. Of course you're right. I just don't want to accept it. And so you'll forgive me for constantly hating the man and everyone who sides with him. A personal failing, I'm sure. But I can work on that. In case everyone's listening, even now. McCreary, so smart. And I respect him so much. Just in case.
He'd taken you prisoner, so presumably you'd done something to annoy him.
Maybe. Not on purpose.
It's a bit of a pity about the cellar. I'm very curious about the orb, and no one's mentioned the door, but can we talk about the door?
I'm afraid I don't know anything about the door, only that it is giving me strange feelings. Every time you walk by it, it's just a little cold.
That suitcase,
not a fan.
that suitcase full of what I'm assuming is books, Mr. Spider was very protective of. I think your friends might have mistaken me for a wizard.
Well, I can't speak for them, but I know I've seen things that I can't explain. Things that keep me up at night.
Oh,
And
certainly.
if these books have an answer for me, I want to find it. But at the same time, I don't want to touch the books because they scare me.
Very few good things ever come of it. Magic, I mean.
Well, I hope your stay here is not too uncomfortable.
Oh, the only discomfort I'll feel is if Mr. Spider ever speaks to me or looks at me again, since I'm fairly sure he would try to wither me to nothing with a glance if he could.
Yes, I invite him to try. No, I don't. He won't try. I'll speak to him.
I suppose I'd better go and help with the accommodations.
Right. Anything you in particular need? Extra blanket? Do you get cold at night, or do you need a
You'll be the
we have this
first
bricks.
person. You'll be the first person I look for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stand up and just straighten there's nothing to straighten. Right. I will leave you to I'm putting away the tea now. I'm gonna leave her there. I don't know what else to do. He's the worst. Wait. He's gonna stop at the door though and turn around and do like the gentlemanly head nod thing, but I don't think it's gonna go the way he thinks it is. But he's trying his best. This is terrible, y'all. He's so
Right now,
Mr. Cutter.
now, gentlemen strangers, Spider, Slide, and Hound, we're now going to rate your performance. Wow, I love that.
Wow.
Perfect.
leave me alone.
No, it was the perfect scene. It was the best
Perfect
thing I've
scene
seen
after the
today.
big argument scene.
So time passes and Amelia does what she promised Mr. Slide that she would do. She writes down a few things that she speculates. If she so much as speculates it, she will write it down. And she'll be very clear on what it is she thinks she knows and what it is she thinks she only thinks.
Good.
I like the idea that she's laying this down in a conversation with Mr. Slide, and Mr. Spider is sat documenting everything she says, but has been elected not to ask the questions because, I thought he was being unfailingly polite to her, but
Yes. But
yes. He
but
was
Spider is
being
never warm.
He was being very polite to her, but she's smart enough to know what polite means.
he was not brought on board this team for warmth.
It's
No.
true. He was pretty regular Spider, but a lot of people don't realize that he's always like that.
Fear him if ever he takes the cold trait. He will become a robot.
She believes that she was located for capture by McCreary by an occultist known as Kingsley Donovan.
I beg your pardon.
What is it, Mr. Spider? You know of Kingsley Donovan?
Do we know of Kingsley Donovan?
Amelia, Mr. Slide, if you would give me a moment. Are the others in the house?
Yes, I'm sure they're upstairs somewhere, putting together beds or something.
Perhaps it might be an idea to put on some tea.
And
then he gets up and in classic Mr. Spider stance strides from the room at absolute maximum speed.
He's terribly smart.
Oh, no doubt.
I suppose I'll put the tea on,
Please let me.
if you insist.
And I guess the rest of them, everyone is dragged down into the parlor again. And Mr. Spider comes in holding a great stack of things, including his big ledger and one of the a couple of the Sidney Weller books.
Oh,
Gentlemen, Miss Amelia. How confident are you of that name, Miss Amelia?
I'm very confident of the name, and I know that Mr. Donovan touts himself as an occultist.
An occultist. Apprentices?
And that is the extent of my knowledge, is what I've written down for you. I believe that he is sometimes too often in the employ of Mr. McCreary. Not in an ongoing basis. I think it's more on commission.
Commission, yes. There was a name, no, not quite a name, but the absence of one that was floating around in the ledgers when I was reading. Mr. Weller, you see, kept meticulous notes on his ingoings and outgoings, but of course codified them in such a way, such as someone like me reading them would not be able to decipher their meaning. Nevertheless, he made frequent references to a Mr. D, and then references to a K. I had reason to believe that these ledger entries made reference eventually to the same person, K.D. I had been curious about this one, but I did not have enough information to put together quite how serious this was. Then a connection fired, and I believe that upon the 10th of December, a boy is due to die.
As in, part of the intentions of Sidney Weller's nefarious shipments. One was due on the 10th of December to a KD, and no doubt with the absence of Sidney Weller.
Has suggested to me in the usual way that I am to provide him with a new boy on or after the 10th. I believe that the boy that was intended for this role, or that intended to replace this boy, was Kit. Given that he was a new apprentice, the timelines would match up. He has indicated here in his ledgers that he is training Kit, I believe, for that purpose, but he is uncertain if he'll be suited to the task. Kay is very particular about these things, he says. The 10th of December that this boy is to be replaced. However, the note indicates the thing that I was pondering over the most, and I believe Miss Amelia's testimony put some light on it. Kay supposes his present apprentice to expire, owing to some right or other.
So, unless stopped, Kingsley Donovan is going to set about sacrificing children.
that
Well,
can't happen.
My
Well, one
God.
very specific child, but no less horrific.
I
We at
had-
least. Sorry,
I
go
had
on.
no notion of that at all.
No, I believe that had you had a notion of that, Miss Amelia, it would have been front and center to your testimony.
Do you know anything about his capabilities, Miss Amelia?
I believe that McCreary uses Donovan as a spy. I believe that Donovan is meant to be very good at all sorts of clairvoyant practices and so forth.
Well, the ledger does certainly corroborate your statement, he does make, I believe, several references to Seamus McCreary, only in the fact that KD has done employment for him.
So he's a freelancer, probably.
Perhaps if I knew what work K did for SMC, some leverage might apply.
It is it will not surprise Mr. Hound to hear that I became aware that I was being located through magic, as this is the primary reason that I have removed much of my hair and burnt it, in point of fact.
Oh, I see.
Oh. Is it only the hair? Or, no, I'll ask them.
Any part of you. A nail, a drop of blood, I believe even a drop of spittle.
Heavens.
So what are we to do about Kingsley Donovan?
Well, it's the 5th now.
You have an address for this fellow?
I'm sorry, I don't have the faintest idea. He will be somewhere in Camden, because McCreary will not make use of resources outside of this area if he can avoid it.
Well then, we have 5 days, gentlemen. 5 days to save a boy's life. We have had tighter deadlines and higher stakes. Well, no, we've had higher deadlines and similar stakes. I suggest we perform a little investigation and perhaps meet for drinks at the Aventine.
Solid plan.
Quite. I'll attempt some inquiries as discreetly as possible. I will attempt inquiries last, because if nothing else can be found, because frankly, if I go about asking anyone about in Seamus McCreary's outfit about Kingsley Donovan, obviously I will be discreet. However, unless anyone else has it confesses they have absolutely no other ideas of how we're going to start to hunt him down.
It does seem a freelance occultist, therefore making inquiries into the occult in general might lead an invitation to him.
Exactly my thought. My thoughts on espionage and matters of asking regarding his skill set, and then just happening to be directed to Kingsley Donovan was what I had expected. However, I am not the hunter of our group.
No, indeed. But even a hunter cannot hunt without a scent. But some inquiries can be made. We have time. 5 days is plenty of time. But we cannot make a decision without data.
Quite. However, if no one has a better place to start, then I can begin to make my questions.
I haven't got the foggiest. If you can get me the slightest whiff, then I can begin where I'm in my expertise. But
if Miss Amelia is accurate in her assessment, we must be very cautious, gentlemen. This is a quarry that quite possibly will know that they are being hunted. Therefore, make no rash actions. Let nothing of yourself be mislaid. Trust no one.
This Weller character, whose books you prodigiously have acquired, may I assume that whoever he was, he met an unfortunate end?
What
think it was
happened to
unfortunate
Sydney
as
Weller? What happened to Sydney Weller was entirely appropriate to his actions and behaviours leading up to that time.
Be that as it may, if they were close business associates, then I would imagine, from what I've heard of Donovan, who is very selective about his clients and a rather paranoid person, he may well be, well, he may well have made preparations assuming that he might be next.
Quite. Found no address for him in the ledgers, but that is no reason why I perhaps cannot find something now that I know that I am especially looking for this KD.
Well, between the Aventine and McCreary's, there are multiple options to hunt.
Has
Oh.
has this occultist, is he a criminal or simply an occultist who consorts with criminals?
I'm not confident I understand the finer points of difference, Mr.
What's his
Spider.
primary source of income? Would be my question. If this is a respectable person in one way who is also,
I've never heard him referred to as anything other than a consulting occultist. I imagine he charges quite well for his rather unique services.
Yes.
I will make inquiries.
Although
Until
if his activities involve the murder of children, then I suspect the answer is he is indeed a criminal, since it is, as far as I understand it, Mr. Spider, against Her Majesty's laws to slaughter children.
Yes,
Well,
but
that's where it ought to be.
well, we can hardly ignore the fact that we're criminals as well.
None of my business. And perhaps I shall set to cheering the place up a bit while you're all out.
Right. That sounds lovely. Yes. She walks out of the room. So I go, I can't. This is going to... This place is a club.
Wait, what did Mr. Slide say? It was muffled.
This is truly going to set back any efforts at opening this place as a club.
Oh. Well,
Until tonight, then, gentlemen. I'm going.
Where are you going, Spider?
I'm going to speak to one of my shrewd friends.
All right.
It occurs to me that this is the sort of person who is very selective about clients, and selective people who are selective about clients develop a reputation for being selective about clients. That's how they're able to be selective about their clients. And I realize that I'm buddies with an information broker, and I never go and see him. So I'm going to go and see my buddy who knows a bit about everything.
Mr. Braithwell.
I'm going to go see Mr. Braithwell. As Mr. Breaker, not Mr. Spider. And I'm going to go during the day because it's daytime, and I figure he probably keeps an office and has stuff going on.
Yeah, he keeps a small office. He works rather frantically. It's all in a bit of disarray, but he always seems to know where everything is.
Joshua?
Oh, Mr. Breaker, do come in. Sit down. I'll make you a cup of tea. I'm sure I've got a cup somewhere around here. One moment.
Busy day?
No, that's last. Sorry.
Busy day?
Oh, well, no, not really. It's just I put something down this morning and I just can't quite find it. But...
Is it beneath something?
Oh, yes. The question, Mr. Spider, as always, is what? He didn't call you Mr. Spider, he called you Mr. Breaker.
Mr. Breaker, yes. That is always the question, of course. We've become something of archaeologists when sifting through our own notes.
Well, there's something I could do for you.
Yes, a small matter, but a weird one in more than one way. So I thought you seemed the best person to come to about it. You will think me quite mad, Joshua, but I have reason to consult with an occultist.
A what?
Occultist. You know, a academic who focuses on reading weird esoteric texts and tomes.
Oh, okay.
Fascinated with Egyptology and the stars and whatnot.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I have not taken up some strange carryings on, but I have need to speak with one about some books, and I thought perhaps you might know some people.
I've never even heard the word occultist before, but
Have you never?
should I have had occasion to, Mr. Baker?
You come across all sorts in your line of work?
Well, what are the particulars?
I have come across a rather fascinating artifact, and I wish to speak to an occultist about it. I do not have any names, but I thought perhaps you might do a little fact finding for me.
An occultist. How would you go about spelling that, Mr. Breaker?
OCC. Look, I'll jot it down for you.
Right. Okay.
These are my
occultist.
These are my thoughts and my requirements. I have wished to move an artifact. My timing is pressing, not urgent.
Would you not be better off seeking an antiquarian, Mr. Breaker?
No, the antiquarians have pointed me towards the occultists.
They are not one and the same sort of gentleman.
You would think so. However, apparently they are very niche, and the historians get very offended when you accuse them of having an area of expertise outside of their very specific 2-year period.
Well, not an historian per se. I meant more an auctioneer.
No, I'm certainly looking at the provenance and significance of it.
Well,
I'm afraid I'm quite at the end of my tether. That's why I've come here.
I shall make queries among the academics of my acquaintance.
Thank you very much. You do good works, Joshua.
Well, I'll do my best for you, Mr. Breaker.
You know I always bring you interesting cases. Never a dull day.
For certain, for certain. Oh, what's the nature of this artifact? Egyptian, did you say?
I do not know its provenance, but it is an orb.
Like a ball?
Like a ball, yes. But I believe to antiquarians and
Out on it.
It's an orb. No, not that I can detect.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll make inquiries about orbs and see what we can do.
Good man. Thank you for the tea.
Aye. Balls. Right. Okay. No, I'm on it.
Orbs.
Okay.
Mr. Spider gets some very different recommendations at the end of this conversation.
I found a lot of people who will talk to me about balls.
Went all over London.
Went all over London asking about balls. Long story short, I need you to bail me out.
Long story short, I've been arrested for buggery. Now, I don't propose to go into the details of it.
Would you mind? Would you mind bailing me out and maybe not mentioning this to Mrs. Braithwell?
Mrs. Braithwell wouldn't stand for that sort of talk, Mr. Breaker.
No, of course not. Discretion is the better part of valor.
All right. Okay. Are there any other inquiries anyone wishes to make?
Yeah, we need to do a lot more. So Slide is going to, having already been setting about making some positive inroads in and amongst McCreary's folk, which is something he has done. Off the back of that, of consulting with Sly, I have amongst Sly friends a gang leader, which I imagine is probably within Camden, ending up as someone who at least answers to McCreary.
One way or the other eventually, yes, I would think so.
So going to go have a little. Although the good news actually is that Christopher Wick can go have a conversation with Thaddeus Latimer, a gang leader, because Christopher Wick has played cards in all sorts of terrible places he shouldn't for all sorts of fun. And us is going to, which is why Christopher Wick has Sly friends who are frankly criminals. Because really, I probably should have somewhat better edited the pre-made Sly friends for my poor Slide. So going to make some inquiries again, trying to start it out in a roundabout way towards occult practices. It will really be dependent upon how much Slide reckons that they know about the occult. Because the good news, if they don't really, it's much easier. He reckons it's going to be much safer then to slightly more directly ask after Donovan. Because then they're probably less likely to put 2 and 2 together. If he reckons they know about the occult, he will try to do the hands-off, I'm looking for an occultist, spy business, blah, blah. Otherwise, he'll ask after Kingsley Donovan.
Okay. So I have performed a secret roll based on your tier to determine whether or not Mr. Latham knows anything. Would you like to make an action to see if you can get it out of him, whatever it is?
Would you like a consort or a sway?
I think it's a consort unless you're trying to... I think it's a consort initially, isn't it? Unless you're trying to immediately go for the jugular.
Yes. Well, sway. I suppose it's different. I view consort as slightly more networky, but because I specifically have a target, that's the only reason. Like I was suggesting sway.
I think it's consort for the time being. It would be sway if he seemed reluctant, possibly.
That's fair. So it is. So position control.
Yes, and standard effect.
Standard effect. No bonus dice. A 5.
Very nice. Very nice. Occult.
Yes, although it's the fun of the seances and all of that.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of talk of that.
Very fashionable right now.
Well, I'm not talking about fashionable society. I'm talking about this lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Catholics, superstitious in it.
Well, yes. What do they do with it then? It all seems a bit of a... I was going to say mysterious. Of course it's mysterious.
Sometimes it's bundles of heather for good luck in it. Sometimes it's a card reading to see your future. There's a guy that's supposed to be able to, see through your enemy's mirrors and sort of see what they're up to and spy on them.
No, surely not.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that has to be some sort of fabulous grift. Come on.
Well, it probably is, but he makes a lot of money doing it. They go to him all the time.
Really? What sort of rates does he ask?
I think a couple of coin a go, at least.
Coin go.
Well, this is the mad thing, right? You think it's obviously a con, but they keep going back to him. I don't know what he's doing to trick them into it.
Maybe he's actually a very good information broker, but it's all theatricality, you understand? So his information might be quite good, but obviously it's not seeing through mirrors.
Well, it's obviously clever in somewhere or another. I know a lot of those old grannies that do like talking to your dead husband sort of thing.
Yes. As I say, it's that sort of thing is, but the slightly more upmarket is becoming very, very fashionable. Really, see through mirrors. Where does one find this?
Old King Donovan. Oh, he's
Donovan.
He's got a place a couple streets behind. Do you know where McCreary's got his funeral home? Oh
yes.
Yeah, a couple streets up there. Used to be quite a well-to-do neighbour before the railways came over, and it's gone a bit downhill since then. But yeah, he's got an old doctor's house.
Oh, definitely tapping into the theatricality elements of it. And old doctor's place. Come here, I will reveal your enemy's secret.
I've heard he's mad as a March hare, so it wouldn't surprise me if he actually believed it all.
Yes, quite. Oh, how wretchedly desperate must a man be? Although then again, clearly he's got something on them. If he's getting such good business. Frankly, Thaddeus, I think you're just probably smart enough to not buy into whatever that theatricality is.
Not really my cup of tea, to be honest.
Yeah. Keeping your head and the feet on the ground and not your head in the clouds is how to stay ahead.
I know the address if you need it.
Oh, go on. I'm quite fascinated. This could be quite a jape. Imagine the stories I can tell.
Yeah, maybe clear my tab at the bar here and
why not?
That'd be lush, to be honest. It's only a coin. It's just, you know, I always keep meaning to get round to paying it and sort of, you know.
Oh, I understand. Look, let's do that, and then we'll have another hand of cards, and I'm sure then you can take some more off me.
I'd like to give it a go.
Why not?
Yes. So if you pay his bar tab, he'll happily give you Donovan's
Cool. I had
address.
a coin. I had 2 on me, so I pay 1 for Donovan's address. He's this is Kath being paranoid at this man being as Slide was like, great, I've got the street and the rough approximation and a doctor's front, that will probably be enough, and him offering the address has made Kath paranoid of like, is he setting me a trap? Do I need to roll any? Is this Kath getting excessively paranoid, or should I make some suspicious dice roll?
No, you have received the correct address.
Cool.
I would not make you pay your precious little coin to receive. Well, I might, but not in this instance.
I suppose not fake information. It was to be, am I being set up? Was it? But I will fend off my own paranoia. Play some cards with Mr. Thaddeus Latimer and
Tad.
Tad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have a thing I wanted to do.
Yeah?
But it's purely dramatic and has nothing to do with plot.
I'm here for it.
So obviously Mr. Cutter doesn't have anyone to go ask about who this Donovan person is, but doing nothing is not a thing Mr. Cutter is good at. So I think spinning around, he would get some of the like excess bolts of fabric or something from the warehouses. You know, just stuff that it's lying around, no one wanted it, it's excess product, and bring it back to the Millennium Club for decorative
and
purposes.
set about a draping. Yes, wonderful.
I mean, you know, just we have a guest now. Maybe she likes nice things.
You and Amelia get about to draping the velvet all over the chairs and so forth, and making the place look rather spiffing.
Just, you know.
No, absolutely. Her cell, as it were, is looking rather nice. She can't open any windows, obviously, or anything like that. But,
that's all. I just wanted to be helpful, but also I can't help with the plot, so we'll do with our decorations.
We'll do some you know, during the velvet draping montage, there'll be some stolen glances and little blush asides to the camera, if that helps you. Thank you, Praxis, for picking up on my pun. I'm so glad that got you.
Filth.
I'm not filth. I'm very refined.
Well,
I want to point out I love that while the boys are out getting information, the girls are back at home making
decorating
with lollipops and such.
But yes, I think Slide definitely will talk to Cutter at some point, but it's completely non-plotty, so let's not break up.
So this is all timey-wimey. So Mr. Hound, I believe you offered your services for scouting the location.
The moment...
Now that you have it in the abstract sense.
I like, Michael, that you've donned more Mr. Hound themed gloves, but a very un-Mr. Hound
and a cozy jumper, yeah.
This is all in the function of keeping me warm, rather than role-playing and laughing as Mr. Hound.
Yeah, but the doofy gloves are definitely very Mr. Hound, but just like Christmas jumper.
Christmas Hound. Yes, I'm not only going to be doing this myself because I want to have a good look at the area, but I'm going to be roping in one of my seedy friends, or as I call them, friends.
Yeah.
I'll be going for Mr. Cunningham of my acquaintance, likely meeting him.
Mr. Cunningham, a spy.
A spy. It is of note that of all of my deadly friends, I do not have first names for them. And also, one of them, Mr. Rand, is the least deadly person in the world. But we will get to her. She runs the orphanage, basically. If she's deadly, it's a surprise to me.
I've just realised that all of our things have got, like, blank friends. Like, I just thought we all had shrewd friends, but apparently only I have shrewd friends.
Mine are sly.
Mine are deadly.
Mine could just fuck you up for no reason.
Well, what's
Nice.
their, is that what it says on the character sheet, Brie?
It's
Will fuck you up for no
It's-
reason.
Yeah.
big
That's
text box.
exactly what it says.
Shit, big text box.
I should edit 2 of mine. at
So what
least.
sort of spy? What sort of spy is Mr. Cunningham?
I don't think Hound knows, but I think Hound suspects that Mr. Cunningham is probably retired from some sort of governmental service. I think Mr. Cunningham is an older gentleman that has a lot of knack and has still the intention to use that knack for his own purposes, and quite often has almost like an ex-service agent these days has kind of fallen into a rough crowd because it's the life he knows. And so he is part of the Cunningham Ballantine, Steiner, and what about Anwar's surname is? Jaffrey collective that meet up in this pub, occasionally do bad crims together, and then disperse as the day comes. So yeah, he's clearly very well educated. He's very good at what he does, and he's very rarely brought into a job unless there is something a little bit more orthodox about it. So I'll head to the pub. And once he's there, I will bring him over his usual drink and sit at the table with him.
Haven't seen you for a while.
No, I've been a little bit busy, I must say.
What's the job?
I've got a spot that I need looking over. Ideally, a couple of days, just so we can get the idea of the comings and goings of a gentleman before I, well, ask no questions, that sort of business. But I'm wary of this one, and you know me, I'm always truth with you. I think
What do
this
you know?
one's he's a little bit suspicious. I would want you, for your very best, to keep low on this one. Don't take any risks with him. But any idea of his comings and goings, when he's likely to be in the house, out of the house?
All right. Whereabouts is he?
He gives the address. Not far from a funeral home, if you know it.
I know the place. Couple days.
Just enough to get a bit of a profile of the gentleman.
Let's call it a coin then, eh?
Coin it is, and my undying gratitude as ever.
Yeah, can't feed myself with gratitude, though, can I?
Fair point indeed, Mr. Cunningham.
Gratitude buys no tobacco. Or any of my other undisclosed vices.
Well, hopefully this will see you right.
So I'll see you in 2 days' time then.
Yes. You
Anything
will.
else I need to know about this gentleman? Armed?
Uncertain. He's got some.
Yes.
His friends have let me in that he's got some unusual beliefs. Not got a mark on his religious origins per se, but anything you get that kind of shines a light on that, any strange amulets or pendants that he might be wearing, keep an eye out.
Will do.
All right.
See you then.
Pleasure doing business. Come on, Burke.
Likewise. Off. He doesn't bark. He literally looks up and says, "Arf."
Oh,
It's
no.
it's very strange.
It's never been a dog, it's a man.
One isn't sure. So the information you get back 2 days later, let's cut straight to the scene. I think it's a scene. And I'm not going to tell you this. I think we're going to act this out because it's worth doing. Cunningham sits down. What the fuck?
Not what I anticipated. What have you found?
As far as I know, no one went in or out of the place.
And yet,
I've been trying to think this whole time how I'm going to tell you this without you thinking I need to go straight to Bedlam.
let's assume an open mind for this. I've probably heard worse.
You know my work. You know my skills. And you know I don't exaggerate. And if you're my client, I'll deal with you straight. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
If I were not a sane and entirely rational man, as I am, then I would say that what I observed was that each time I would look back at the house, the door and windows had all moved.
How could such a thing be possible?
Beats
Reckons-
me.
Some kind of trickery? Or...
Look, I'm talking about, I look down at my newspaper. I look back up again, and the door's 3 foot away. And that window over there that was boarded up has gone. And there's another window over there now that wasn't there a second ago. That's what I'm talking about.
I believe you, but I hope you understand it's difficult to.
Yeah, gotta be honest, I've considered just giving you your money back. Because I'm not sure what use this has been, and I don't want to get a reputation for being a con man.
I'm not going to take it back, and I'm not going to spread this around. We've been through enough together for me to not want to besmirch our friendship. I'll reflect on it. I'm not sure how much use it's going to be, but let me say it. I believe you. And I believe you are a man of sound mind.
I hope I'm a man of sound mind, because this was not a one-time thing. 2 days I sat out there, and this happened every single time I looked to it. I could make it happen. I could make it happen by closing my eyes for a second. If I blinked, it didn't. But, you know, any longer than a blink, if I closed my eyes, if I turned around. And here's the weird thing. I never watched it happen. But there must have been other people looking at the house. There must have been other people looking away from it. Why would it only change when I look away? That sort of thing is creepy.
Certainly is.
That puts the willies up me. Not much puts willies up me.
I know that to be true.
Don't like it. Anyway, that's all I've got to say.
Let's have a drink. Talk about fairer times.
Yeah.
I soothe him. I lie to him about how I have no idea how this could happen. And then I'm going to get to the group. They must know this.
Yeah, I think you have, unless there's anything I've missed, I think you have all the information you need.
Yeah, I think Hound will stop off to observe it himself. And I imagine it's much as described.
It is precisely as described, and it's creepy as fuck. Literally, I mean, if you look away for any less than a second, it doesn't seem to happen. but you never catch it happening, which is weird because people are walking past the house all the time. They are, of course, looking at it and away from it just casually, but there seems to be some difference in substance between the act of looking at the house and glancing at the house.
Hmm.
Not
I
sure
like
how
it.
reassuring that is.
I mean, it takes away the idea that we're going to sneak in because we don't know where the windows are going to be at any given time. This will, of course, be fully relayed to the rest of the gentlemen strangers.
I think this, unless people feel otherwise, this might be a nice chance for a break. So you can digest all that you have gathered, and then you can talk about it and formulate an approach when we get back together. We'll only have 2 hours, or just less than 2 hours when we get back together, but I think we should manage this quite comfortably. We'll be back in about 10 minutes' time, dear audience members. Thank you for... I hope you've enjoyed the wonderful drama that has occurred. And now we'll get to some murder.
Hell yeah.
Scene
Yeah.
10. Welcome back. We're back. You're back. Everyone's back. And information has been gathered. And the strangers convene to discuss their approach to the righteous assassination of Kingsley Donovan.
Do we have any idea about what he can do with his magic and whether or not he has accomplices, guards, etc., etc., etc.?
Found? What does your contact say?
No one went in or out. This place is a complete unknown.
Oh,
Leads us to believe he handles things in-house.
well, I say we kick down the door in the middle of the night and Cutter and Hound put him full of holes while I assist.
I think, to be honest, that's going to have to be the best approach. It's not like we can sneak in. If I'm climbing through a window and then someone stops looking at it and I'm on a different floor and Cutter climbs through a different window, it messes the whole thing up.
Are we certain this is about observation?
Yeah. Glancing at it or just blinking didn't seem to change it. You'll see it for yourself when we're there, but if you look away and then look back, I mean, we could go for some experiment with all of us looking upon it and looking away at different times, but...
Perhaps then. I remember reading when I was younger the tales of wizardry of ancient England. And the idea that the most frightening thing you can give a wizard is a head start. Perhaps, rather than simply kicking the door in, if we can ensure that the house is being constantly watched during our ingress, we could attempt at least a mildly more subtle approach to the house.
So if someone is staring at it the entire time while one of us gently jimmies a window...
I haven't the foggiest.
I am only thinking perhaps we could consider it.
It's worth considering.
I suppose we could attempt it, and then if it doesn't appear to work, then we just kick the door in.
Yeah, it just takes 5 minutes of us looking at the street at the same time, one of us approaching it while 3 of us look away, then...
Well, I think the point is someone's looking at it the entire time, so it stays static. Am I
Yes, but
understanding you correctly?
we don't know what multiple points of observation do to it.
All I'm saying is I believe we're becoming bogged down in details that are not there, since we cannot conjecture based on things we do not know.
I was just trying to
Simply that-
understand your suggestion.
Simply that it seems to be as complicated to kick a door in that might not be there the next second as it is to jimmy a window that might not be there the next second. Either way, it will involve observation, just one will take ever so slightly longer. It leads me to believe that what we wish is not to be discovered in the act, because if the house is able to do this, who knows what the interiors are able to do.
Very true. I think one thing we do need to accept is the moment we are in, we have no idea the layout. We just need to work with what we've got.
We stay together and we stay sharp and shrewd.
We don't even know what this fellow looks like.
No.
This would make an absolutely ripping story, you know. Have you ever considered getting yourselves a Dr. John Watson to document your tales?
I've often thought my life would be more complete with a Dr. John Watson.
I don't
No idea
suppose.
why.
I don't suppose publication would help your secret mission, but this is all absolutely. I'm completely wrapped.
I'm
Like-
glad.
OC, I didn't know that Amelia was there. And so I do like the idea that I in no way wish for her to leave, but the Mr. Spider looks up from his notes and goes, "Hey, Miss Amelia, you're here."
I mean, yes, yes, and I'm assiduously not making notes. I wish I could, because
Look, my hands are here on the table.
it would help with my future financial problems if I could publish these stories of yours.
This is the opposite of reasons to let you go.
This is just adding
What a
to my
great
reasons
guess.
that this is just adding to my reasons that we should keep her long term. I like the idea of she slowly builds up a typewriter and shite around, and she's like, "I'm going to publish. I'm going to write the things."
So,
She's the last survivor of us. She gets to.
Yeah.
are we talking about an assault approach or a stealth approach?
I think this is assault. I think we've got a nominal idea that it's going to be stealth, but I don't think that's going to play out, and I think it's going to be assault.
It's an assault through the front door, I think, is the impression I'm getting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Spider hates that, but yeah.
Okay.
Like, obviously, that's gonna be the most trapped way to get in. I hate it.
I think there's refuge in audacity.
It's
Look,
a,
the
it's a
assault-
complete unknown.
The assault approach at least means that we can take a slightly heavier load because we're not
That's true.
we're not trying
Okay.
to pretend.
Yeah, everyone choose your load while I work out the engagement roll.
Remind
Okay.
me the difference between normal and heavy again.
It just looks like you're carrying.
Yeah, heavy load. Heavy load means you are unmistakably burdened. You are unmistakably geared up for something.
And we get +2 anyway because we are vigilant.
You get +2 anyway. So heavy load would be
8, Jesus. How much armor
heavy
am I
load would be
shoving
8 and would
myself?
be. I can't imagine how you'd fill that, but you're absolutely welcome to do it.
I just
Like
don't see Spider would never go to heavy load, if only because he likes to have those 2 extra slots in case he needs to carry something like a book.
Right. You are human beings endeavoring something. Is this Operation Boulder Daring? Yeah. This operation is not complex or contingent on any factors. You know everything you need to know. Does it expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? No, I don't think so. Are they strongest against this approach? Not especially. I think the thing that makes it bold, there's no point cancelling that out. They did, so I think that counts. That's another die. No one's interfering in the operation. Okay, you are engaging with 3 dice.
Okay.
And you got a 6.
Nice.
You've engaged with a 6. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to cut out some bullshit. You never mind futzing around with the precise mechanics of what's happening. Mr. Hound, I think when you get sufficiently close, there's a moment where you're sort of, okay, there's this. We could try this combination. And you sort of walk up and you go, oh. And then the camera pans down and you realize that nothing's actually moving. This is an illusion. And the reason you can tell that nothing's actually moving, this is an illusion, is because half of the front step is always visible leading onto the street. So your 6 in engagement means you know exactly where the front door is.
Nice.
Good.
No bullshit. Hooray. A good no bullshit entrance. That's what we like to see.
I'm aware that we're doing the engagement, and I'm not trying to do any more active scheming. I just remembered I got distracted making my notes and I didn't say one.
Is this
important
something you
thing.
can flash back to later?
It's kind of one of those things that, like, perhaps the words of Mr. Spider echoing in your ears at this moment, which is that I meant to say it after we said we don't know what this guy looks like, but just to sort of remind people, but also there is a boy to be rescued.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are keeping an eye out for a boy.
Some of you will disagree on the prioritization of this, but you have 2 objectives. one of which is to rescue the apprentice who is due to die in a few days' time, and the other is potentially also the execution of Kingsley Donovan. Which one of those is primary, which is secondary, I will leave entirely to your individual interpretations of the events. But in theory, one goal should lead to the other quite nicely.
Look at Michael with his book, his real book.
Rule book.
So, through the front door then. Who's gonna get us in? Are we finessing our way in, or are we bashing our way in?
Do any of us even have ranks in Tinker now?
I think without Mr. Shadow, you are somewhat lost when it comes to the subtle approach.
Yeah, I don't think I'm.
And this is an assault after all.
Yeah,
so
like
think
I
this
was,
is
I assumed we were going to go with Rec, but I was just like, I don't think we have anyone who can pick locks.
Look,
anymore.
I love the idea of Mr. Hound doing his best, going like, okay, so we're going to stare at the building, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Oh, it's an illusion. The door's just there. Cutter flies in from kicks the door open.
Okay, give me a rec then, please.
Okay. Is it locked? No, I'm not even gonna.
No, you're
I'm
right.
just kicking it. I'm just gonna kick
Nothing's
it.
locked to Cutter's boot.
I mean, I hope so. Is this risky or controlled?
This is controlled.
Because the door's not moving. It's not fighting back yet.
It doesn't matter. Presently, the door is not right in front of you. You know it's there because Mr. Hound has gone, yeah, but there's the bottom step. We know the door is there. And actually, if you reach out, you can feel a door handle. Your hand sort of disappears into a layer of brick. It's almost like a holographic projection. But you
Ooh.
can feel a door handle. There is definitely a door there.
Probably
All right.
electricity. Good fight.
Be quick. Okay. I am just gonna kick the door down. I
Yeah.
hope this works.
Do it.
Do it.
Nope. It
Okay.
does not work.
It does not work. No, you have failed to you failed to break the door. It's a weird thing. You see Cutter slamming himself into the wall, because that's what you can see is a wall. But you, Cutter, you feel a door sort of slightly giving, but not quite.
That didn't work.
And
I
I'm
try
gonna
the
start a
handle.
clock.
Can
I'm
I
gonna start
try
a
the
clock
handle
that
now?
says police attention.
Ah, police. Can I try the handle?
You can try the handle. Yep.
Does it just open?
It is locked.
God damn it. Okay.
Put your shoulder into it, Cutter.
Am
Okay,
I?
yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
Am I okay to change? Like, are we set on load, or do we add load as we play?
You set your load as we engage, but you determine what the items are after engagement.
Wonderful. Because I could just bring about my burglary. No, help me. Burglary.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the added challenge is it's a invisible door, but I can give it a go.
here's my thinking. We didn't start with that, so we bashed at the door and alerted the police, and then the burglary gear will take time.
That's fair.
Yeah, unless it's like adding a crowbar to the bashing. Like,
Yeah,
unless
you
it
are
helps
now
the bashing.
you are now walking down the rapid entry road.
Then
That would have been great 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, my bad.
What Slide can do to assist.
Not
is
your bad
to
at all, that was
feel
alright.
his way for a window
0% your bad.
while the breaking in is going on, in case he can physically feel his way for something which might make an easier wrecking entry point. That is all Slide is doing.
Okay. You can feel a window on the ground floor, some way away from the door. Mr. Cutter, you going to give another wreck a try?
Unless
anyone?
Mr. Slide says, "Hey, there's a window here."
He'll say it, but so whichever, GM's discretion on which happens first.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you were going to wreck anyway, this is during the search, is how I was
Yeah,
picturing it.
That's
so
fair. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will just wreck again. I'm gonna do it.
you might succeed and obviate the.
That's way
Boom.
better.
You have achieved a 6, so you don't injure yourself in any way at all. The lock comes away and you fall through. You sort of see Cutter disappearing behind the wall.
This way.
And yet you can all pass through From the other side, by the way, it all looks completely normal. Like you can see the open door, you can see your friend standing on the other side of it, not quite making eye contact with you because, of course, they can't see you. And as you all step through, you come into a room that's this part of town and this house also were once very well to do. Things shifted and changed decades ago as the railways sort of forced everything to polarize economically in Camden. And this once very well to do neighborhood has gone downhill somewhat. This house has gone downhill likewise. It was, as you heard, once the home and office of a physician. So the interior decoration you can see was once nice, but it's been left to disrepair. As you all come through, as the door swings shut behind you, you can see chalked on the inner side of the door is a strange glyph.
Did I step on it?
No, it's chalked on the door.
Oh, on the door. I thought you said in front of the door. Sorry.
Mr. Spider will make a note of it.
Mr. Spider will make a note of it, in which case I reveal it on roll 20.
Ooh,
Ooh,
how exciting.
that's spooky.
Oh, wait, parachute, no time for you. Oh.
So you've entered into a sort of a narrow hallway. There is nothing ahead of you except for a door at the end of the hallway. It is
Right.
completely dark within.
Shall I, at this point, take the lead?
If you'd be so kind.
I will head towards the door.
Mm-hmm.
And pistol in hand. Hound is notably encumbered, is the right word. He is notably armored at this point. And he will try the handle.
There is no, the door is not locked, and simply swings open ahead of you.
He will rush in, pistol first, and do a quick sweep of the room.
You have entered a room that you would probably bet was some sort of waiting room in the days that this was a functioning physician's office. In the center of the dusty, uncarpeted, bare wooden floor is another symbol that has been chalked. You hear us, as soon as you put one foot inside this door, you hear a sound emanating from this glyph. I don't know if any of you out of character have ever listened to very old gramophone recordings and this very strange, distorted, extremely lo-fi way in which things are recorded. But what you hear is essentially the equivalent of a gramophone recording of a human voice. It's very distorted, and you hear it shouting, "Intruders, help! Someone find a constable!" And this message repeats over and over and over.
Okay.
Is it in chalk?
It is chalked on the floor, yes.
Will scuffing it with the boot of with the boot of the heel of your boot do anything?
I don't know. Do you scuff it with the heel of your boot? Yeah. The moment you disrupt the glyph to the point that it is no longer recognizable, the sound stops.
Ooh.
You successfully cast Dispel Magic. Did you make a note of the glyph before you did so?
Absolutely.
Then I reveal
Spider,
it.
Mr. Spider has been making notes the whole time.
Okay.
I
I
should
feel
tip
like
off,
that's going to be Spider's primary task, frankly.
you know, innocent boy.
I mean, in the action stage.
I should just automatically already always tick off the documents tab of Mr. Spider's load. What do you have? Paper and such.
So, yeah, what you can see from here is there are a couple of doors, other than the one you've come through. There are a couple of doors leading out of this room.
Okay. Any lights coming from any of them? From underneath?
None
No,
whatever.
none.
Let's just start left, keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good call.
You walk through the. In what more order are you walking in? Mr. Hound, you're taking the lead, aren't you?
I'm first.
Okay. Hound and then Cutter.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hound and Cutter walk through, and after a moment, Slide and Spider follow. Slide and Spider, Cutter and Hound are not anywhere to be seen when you walk through the door. Cutter and Hound, you walk through the door into the exact same room you just left via the original door you entered through.
Oh no.
Mr. Slide and Mr. Spider, you have walked into what seems to be a rather dilapidated, dusted and unused kitchen.
Hound, Cutter.
Carter?
Hound and Cutter, you can hear them. You can hear them calling from a room away. They seem to be just beyond the door you walked through.
That's a turn up for the books.
I'm going to get turned about.
We can hear them, can we?
You can indeed, yeah, as though they were simply around the corner.
Try heading that way.
You walk through and you enter a somewhat dilapidated and disused kitchen. There is no one else but the two of you.
Are there any glyphs in this room?
None that are presently visible to you, no.
Spider,
No.
Slide.
Hound? Cutter?
This time you do not hear each other. Frey McFuzzles has redeemed a help, in which case...
Don't like them.
In which case, Mr. Spider, you spot the last half inch of a stick of chalk dropped on the floor of this dilapidated, disused kitchen, next to a closed cupboard.
With the end of his pen, I suppose, pull the cupboard open.
And you see on the shelf level of the cupboard another glyph.
Just a moment. I have to make a note of
Noting,
this.
and then I'll wreck it once you're done.
Please. You'd be so kind. Just
Cool.
a second. Marvelous.
The moment that Spider gives the go-ahead, Slide will scuff the glyph.
What happens essentially is Mr. Cutter and Mr. Hound, suddenly Mr. Slide and Mr. Spider are standing in front of you.
Oh.
They seem to be bent over a cupboard.
Yeah, you definitely like suddenly have a knife in your face, like on instinct.
Heavens.
Oh, sorry.
Seems to be markings to anytime anything. In fact, any room, I suspect we look for a glyph, and especially if anything weird's going on, we look for a marking.
Quite the puzzle.
Next
room. Nothing for it.
So now that you are free of the strange labyrinth, there's not much on this level. There's the kitchen. There's a small closet where might be kept things like cleaning supplies and whatnot. And there is a scullery. And then there is a door which, upon trying, reveals itself to be unopenable. I didn't use the word locked, I used the word unopenable. It seems to be completely stuck fast to the frame as though glued.
I bet this is the door we're looking for.
Oh, I have a
Checking-
hinder from Lou. Okay.
Checking around and under carpets, etc., in case there's a marking nearby.
Oh yeah, glyph hunt.
You do not spy any more glyphs.
Contribution.
Okay.
We can try and force it.
But does it look like it's a door, but it's, how do we know it's unopenable? Like,
No, you've tried. I assumed you've tried to open it.
oh, okay,
The way
okay,
it's
okay.
not giving, it's
not
feeling
giving
like
at
it's
all.
sealed. It's not like it. Yeah.
It feels to every way you have investigating. It seems like a completely ordinary wooden door, fairly flimsy because it's an internal door, wooden door. There isn't even a keyhole on the door. It's just that it appears to have been sealed.
At
But
this
again,
point,
you can see it. You can see the normal sort of gap around the door. It's just it's not behaving as though there's a gap.
Should be able
and
to smash that.
there's no other room or stairs that we've seen. This is basically the next room to go, the door to go through.
Oh,
Yes,
I have an
it would seem
idea.
so.
What if this is like the illusion on the house? What if, like, if I start running my hand along the wall, do I feel a door?
You do not.
Oh man, thought I
Good
was being.
notion, however, Mr. Potter. Very good notion.
Can it still be smashed? Is it still just solid? No, not so solid wood to your fists.
Not
I can kick it. I'm gonna try to kick it.
Quite.
If it won't open, maybe we can go through it.
Give it a kick.
Yeah. Like, do I have like some cool tools? I want to do something cool, but I don't know. I have climbing gear. That's not gonna.
Oh, burglary gear could help you go hog wild with a crowbar.
You could take a
Yeah.
vial of rage. I don't think you have any rage essence, but
No.
Not yet.
you could have brought a fine heavy weapon with you of some kind.
Heck yeah, I want one of those.
Bring a
Kind of-
fire axe.
Yeah,
Remember,
the
you have to
fire.
tick both squares of that because that takes up 2 load.
That's fine. I'm gonna use it.
A fine heavy weapon, absolutely. What is your fine heavy weapon?
Oh, it's definitely like an axe, but with one of those cool curvy blades that has curves going both ways.
Yeah, you have for some reason found a halberd. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's mine.
There's a lot of weapons in the club, which was.
I'm
left
sure
behind.
there are all sorts of decorations in the club, and for some reason there was a halberd. Absolutely.
It's gorgeous. All right.
Ah!
Yes, I'm going to
We
break.
when we
this
look, we go.
one.
So where are we hiding that?
You don't know. Oh, that's a 4.
Okay. So I'm going to apply Lou's hinder here.
Thanks, Lou.
So
Kinder.
you've rolled a 4. So you've successfully smashed the door, the edges of which remain in place, even though there are parts where it's impossible for them to do so. But only for a second. As you bring the axe crashing down, there's a second where the frame is holding it, the outer edge of the door is holding itself against the frame, and then it collapses. The cost to you is that this weapon is very heavy and requires a lot of momentum, and you have strained your shoulder.
No.
Level 1 harm, which you of course can resist if you wish.
No, give it to me.
Okay. This is the hinder that I'm going to provide. I thought of this in advance. So when Mr. Spider examines the wreckage of the door, unfortunately, the destruction of the door was so thorough that the glyph that was inscribed upon the door
Beans.
is destroyed.
That's big beans, man. That's
My bean.
I will reveal. How can I do this? Oh yes, okay. I will reveal. No, never mind.
Right.
I won't reveal any fragment of it. It's been destroyed
Did
completely.
you say fifth?
Huh?
Did you say fifth?
No.
Oh.
This would be the fourth. That's a glyph.
Oh, I thought you said fifth, and I was like, "Where's the fourth?
This would be the fourth, I believe.
Who's on fourth?"
Imagine how useful that one would have been.
Oh, that was the master glyph. If you had this one, all your problems would have been over forever.
Yeah, Spider will definitely stand and stare at the door for a few seconds in a kind of.
Apologies, Mr. Spider.
Nothing for it, old chap. Don't think anything of it.
Can't be helped.
Okay. And you see beyond this door, there is a landing where there are stairs leading both up and down.
I recommend we stick together.
I recommend down for.
Just a second. I'm gonna like touch the across from us, because there's like up and down. Well, what if there's the left and right that we don't see? Like just touch the walls.
Excellent. There aren't, but that's an excellent idea to check.
I no longer trust this house.
No, you know very well that illusions are in play now.
I'm
Bad
getting.
house.
I think we're ticking off my paranoid box a little bit. This is
Good. That's good.
this is exactly the
I could-
worst.
I can see the pride and love in Kath's face as you're doing it.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, minor help from the model railway man. We'll keep that in the back pocket.
President of the Aid Brigade.
Hmm. So you're heading down, I believe, was the decision made.
Down first.
Keeping within each other's sight line so as not to come a cropper, as you have before. Very good, very clever. You head down, and there's a landing and more stairs down.
Okay.
And there's a landing and more stairs down.
Oh no.
And there's a landing where there are two sets of stairs down, one to your left, one to your right.
Oh no.
Is this rather taking us for a merry jaunt, do you think?
Yeah, we've got 2 options now. We can try, well, 3 options. We try left, right, or we can go back up, see if anything changes. Left it is.
Down you go. And you go down 3 more flights of stairs, arriving at a landing that presents you with 3 ways ahead. 1 down to the left, 1 down to the right, 1 up ahead.
No, this is...
This is mind-boggling.
This isn't real. There's no way this is real. Look for a glyph.
I think Carter has the right of it.
I have been looking very attentively for a glyph, Mr. Cutter.
Have as of yet seen none.
Okay.
I think our options either are, I would say either we stick to the left and persist as that is the way through any maze, or we go back.
I have to confess, be intrigued to see what is that.
The idea being, we don't know if it's going to be consistent if we go back up.
That's a risk.
Well,
Or we
we're
s-
trapped. We are quite trapped either way.
Let's try going back up.
All right.
You head back up. You reach the landing that you just came down from. It's, of course, the staircases are sort of zigzagging, they're spiraling. It's not a straight staircase. When you come around the corner, however, the stairs leading up are partial. They're broken. Only the first 3 steps exist. The rest are broken and fallen away. And where the stairs are broken, there is nothing visible below. Nothing at all.
I'm going to poke the absence with my stick.
Die.
It's actually
It-
horrific.
The stick goes through. There really is nothing there.
Oh. It's like backs away quite quickly.
Hmm. Very well then. Forward it seems.
Left as ever through the labyrinth. Shame we didn't have any string.
No.
Didn't we? Do I have string? No, it doesn't say you have string.
It's not low. You can't have it.
You turn around once again and you head down. The 4-way junction of stairs is not there at this moment. It has changed once again, and now you face a slightly different 3-way junction. Down to the left, down ahead of you, up to the right.
I'm intrigued by these occurrences of up.
Let's take it.
I think not being one to try and break the rules of labyrinthine navigation, but we don't really have the luxury of time.
The only rules I understand of labyrinthine navigation are be kind to a lady named Ariadne and don't jilt her on the way out.
And her advice was to stick to the left. However, Mr. Donovan might not exactly be trained in the classics.
No, that is fair.
Mine is but a suggestion, not a rule.
Keep going left.
I'm for
To
left.
the left, okay. You head down 2 more flights of stairs before you come across another junction, this one presenting only 2 choices. 1 up ahead of you, 1 down to the right.
There we go. Now we go up.
Okay.
You go up the stairs and you reach a landing, and you see something or some things creeping up a flight of stairs ahead of you.
Is it us?
It is you. You appear to be standing in front of a mirror, though there is no mirror. In fact, it's not a mirror, because when you do this, they do this. It is as though there are literally people standing in front of you mimicking your actions.
Oh, this is awful.
The unsettling. What a fascinating effect, however.
I dare say, other Mr. Slide, do you have any concept of how we get out of here? He's not a talkative chap, can't be a duplicate of me.
It is perhaps quite telling when faced with being trapped in an impossible labyrinth, he turns to himself over us.
It actually is notable, by the way, that these doppelgangers mimic all of your actions, but they do not mimic your speech. Their faces are completely impassive.
That's worse.
Oh
That's
no,
worse.
that is actually worse.
I hate
No, actually.
I'm
there any
training
glyph-
a gun.
there-
This is awful.
Gonna shoot
Are there any glyphs in the reflection?
There is a minor help from the model railway man. So indeed, by the left ear of Mirror Spider, there is a glyph.
Spider is going to stare at the reflection and copy the glyph down as he sees it, knowing that he may have to, in fact, mirror it later.
Mm-hmm.
You mean by the ear, like on me or on the wall?
On the wall, but yeah.
Then he is going to reach out until he is touching it in the reflection
Mm-hmm.
and wipe his hand down the wall.
Very well. You do so, and immediately the doppelgangers vanish, and you find yourself standing as you had been all along, facing a set of stairs down and a set of stairs up, with the broken door directly behind you.
Have you sent me the... no, why would you have mirrored the glyph? It's already in... Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Oh. Well, that was an experience. Up or down, gentlemen?
Well, now that we've broken this illusion, down again?
Yep.
All right.
You head down, and you hear, as you head down, the sounds of movement below you. You hear a harsh voice say, "Quiet, boy, and this will go all the easier for you." And you can hear a child whimpering.
I imagine that's a sound that has like visceral reactions for every one of the gentlemen strangers, because despite our miscellaneous differences, we all of us think, oh, that's not cricket.
Bad move, old chap.
And as you come around the corner of the stairs, you see a short flight of now stone steps and an open door. And you see a very strange light beyond the door. But from this angle, not much else.
Strange how?
It is not of a color you would normally expect to see emitted by most sources of light available to you.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and make sure both pistols are to hand, as I'm the going first boy. I'm the one who goes first, and I will begin to approach.
I don't know if you should go first this time.
I agree.
I think Hound is the boy of going first.
I think Mike's just told me he has.
Yeah.
Someone has to.
Yes, the person with the big weapon, not you said the melee before the ranged. Come on, man.
He's got 2 pistols.
Why would we
Oh,
send?
okay.
Why would we send in a halberdsman first?
Open
Also-
with your cannon first. Your artillery.
Also, Hound also does have blades on him. It's pretty clear he's come armed.
Are they in the dark?
Slide's not doing shit about this. I just think
Listen,
So
I'll take it. Let's go.
you can't sheath pistols then.
you come
What?
through the door, and what you see, the first thing you see, I think, is the boy. He's about 12 years old. He is manacled to iron stakes that have been set in the ground. He is enclosed entirely by a thick chalked circle. It is this circle which is glowing with the strangely colored radiance that you've seen. You see around the circle some symbols that have been chalked around it, but before you pay any attention to that, your attention is drawn to the man who is standing. He looks quite ordinary. There is perhaps a slightly crazed look to his eyes, but he's not dressed in any eccentric manner. And he is standing with his arms folded quite calmly as you enter. And you see a smaller circle lit by the same glow etched upon his forehead. Well,
Is that it?
you are here uninvited. You tell me. What business have I with you?
I mean, actually, I shouldn't be the one to talk.
I
What's the function of the ritual?
None of your business.
Well, you had
We're about to rather make it our business, old chap.
Are you going to tell us everything interesting?
No.
I'm going to
okay. Then I'm gonna. Oh, I was gonna say I'm gonna pack throwing knives and just.
Let's
aim
go.
at
No,
the
let's
target
fucking
on
go.
his
Let's
head.
opening salvo this. He had his chance.
I'm so ready to throw myself into cover. Like,
You can leave. I believe you've disengaged my defenses, such as they were, so the way up back to the street is clear.
I'm about to shoot you, just so you know.
I'm unloading throwing knives to the target on his forehead.
And I assure you, sir, if we leave, we are leaving with the boy.
So be it. He doesn't
Pop,
move.
pop.
Okay, you shoot.
Oh, is he an illusion the whole time?
Is that specifically 2 shots?
He has 2 pistols. He will probably just, yeah. This is a weird ass shit, and I want one arm. I want one remaining. It will be 1 shot from me, and I believe Cutter is also throwing a knife at the same time.
I'm so ready to hit the fucking deck in case this bounces back or does something weird. Like,
Well, someone was like, "Do you have anything to say?" He's like, "No."
No, we understand the thinking.
it's
I
it's
just
perfectly valid. It's just
I wanted him to talk. You know, I like a good villain monologue and a...
So you
Look, I've done
fire.
this.
You fire. Yeah, roll away.
Okay.
Position controlled.
Oh yes, yeah. He's not dodging.
Standard effect. I don't
For
like
sure.
that. I wish you'd said something else. No bonus.
Oh, mine is
die.
at less effect.
Oop.
nice.
Okay.
Hold on,
Maybe
hold on.
nice.
What did you roll?
I got a 5. Hound got a 6.
Okay, that's fantastic. So you are throwing knives.
Mine's limited though, because my shoulder hurts.
Yeah, you're throwing knives, and Mr. Hound, you're shooting.
And again, I also have less effect because I have a twisted ankle.
I don't think you have less effect firing a gun.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I think you have less effect on things that involve your ankle. Throwing knives, absolutely, with a strange shoulder. You hear the boy crying out in pain. The circle flares. I've started a clock. The apprentice expires. Congratulations. The combat begins. You see your knives clattering off his shirt. You see Mr. Hound bullet holes in his clothes, but he is undamaged. There is no blood. The boy, of course, isn't riddled with holes, but absolutely writhes in pain. I believe Donovan has a response to this. At you, Mr. Hound, Donovan will extend a hand, speak an arcane syllable, and a gout of translucent lilac flame will surge towards you.
Okay.
This will deal you 2 harm unless you wish to get out of the way of it.
I think, for the purposes of keeping his eyes on me and granting my fellows opportunity, I will take that hit and I'll take it on my armor.
Okay. Interesting. What is the nature of this armor?
It's heavy.
Okay. Yes, fine. You can expend your armor to soak this blow completely.
I'm not entirely sure what heavy armor would look like, but
I think in this context you are literally talking about a hardened steel breastplate.
Hell yeah.
It's hardly going to be Kevlar, and it's not going to be a suit of armor, and people are going to be aiming for here.
Breastplate,
I think
long coat.
Yeah. So yeah, this
Anna.
the flame hits your breastplate, and with a sort of horrible, almost acidic hissing sound, wears away at the metal of the breastplate. You take no damage, but you do not believe your armor will take another one of those. Gentlemen strangers. Let me reveal to you the magic circle that the boy is in. I realize I didn't reveal that, but now is perhaps the time.
Oh, I recognize one of those.
You should recognize 4 of those.
Oh yeah, no, one of them. So, is it a combination? So like one is
One was illusion, one was a swapperoo. No, what was? Well, illusion, alarm, swapperoo. We didn't get the door, and then it was another. And then it was the seeing each other.
Okay, who's next?
Slide is going to take an action. If at some point, but he's not. I'm not desperate to go next.
I think
that's it. I think that's your declaration.
Mhm.
What would you like to do?
Slide is going to dash in the direction of the boy.
Mm-hmm.
with Team Boy.
And bear with me, because Slide is going to smack this boy across the head with the sheathed sword cane.
Great. So you do not manage to cross the circle, but when you do, there is a flare of light. The boy winces in pain. And I update the apprentice expires. He is looking very badly off.
Well, that's probably for the best.
What are the sigil symbols on the sigil done in? More chalk?
Yes, all chalked.
Mm-hmm.
Then I imagine, having spent the fragment of a second being that he goes last to make a note of the missing sigil that is very important for his collection, Mr. Spider dashes in and scuffs a symbol with his boot, because that's
symbol.
Well, that's a great question.
Mike, you're allowed to speak.
I would venture the one that we encountered first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love it. Yes, the curly. Hang on.
It was the arrowy one.
I know which one you encountered
boy.
first. Yep. Okay. You scuff that with your boot. It is scuffed successfully. Nothing else appears to happen.
Mr. Spider,
except
don't
that
do that again.
Except that Donovan says.
I noticed.
So Donovan says, "Clever," and launches a violet bolt of light at you, Mr. Spider, dealing you 2 harm unless you care to resist it somehow.
2 harm, is it 2 harm?
It would be by dodging, I suspect.
Yes, I'd quite like to dodge that.
That would be a prowess check.
Prowess check. I just do that by...
You press you just press where it says prowess, and that should do it for you.
Yes, I did. I would like... Can I spend stress on that? No, you can't.
You can't spend stress to resist.
because it's going to be... Yeah, I realized it as I said it. No.
What's that? No, it's not a no. It means you resist. You resist, but it costs you 4 stress to do so.
Fine.
So that is reduced to 1 harm, which we're going to call supernaturally singed.
Got a bruised jaw.
You still have a bruised jaw, yes.
Yeah.
You are supernaturally singed. But any of you can go now?
I would like to hear from Mr. Cutter.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Well, I'm gonna take Spider's lead and scuff the next sigil, that X with the thing, the line through it. I want to do the in order.
The sigil at the 12 o'clock position, I believe you are describing.
Wait, I'm trying to move my little.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, you're going to have to get round the circle to do that, which means you're first going to have to respond as once again the magician speaks a strange arcane syllable not quite articulable by the human throat and sends a small ball of lilac flame towards you. Whoosh!
Can I have heavy armor too and not do that? I don't want it.
If you've got the load for heavy armor, then you absolutely may have heavy armor, yes.
Yeah, thanks. I want that.
So you're heroically diving forward, and as you hear him summon this ball of flame, you turn yourself so that you know your armor is going to be hit. Your armor is critically damaged. It will not take another one of those, but you've successfully completely evaded all of the damage. You scuff the symbol at the 12 o'clock position on the circle. Nothing seems to happen except that I now have to advance 2 clocks on a 6-segment clock. The boy is saved. You have got 2 segments out of 6. Let me...
Is talking a free action? Like, is that a thing we can do out of turn?
Yes.
Spoken like a fucking Pathfinder player. Mr. Carter, I'm not certain if he has infinite reserves of that. I do beg you to grapple him or something.
Right. So on my next go, I will be tackling the wizard.
It's not really goes. If no one else has anything they want to do, you may absolutely do so.
The spider is going to throw himself at the circle again, if that's possible. But
so this is okay. That's actually cool. So what's happening is you're distracting him. So Spider, because Cutter is throwing himself at Donovan, you have a free go at the circle. Which glyph would you like to expunge, please? Because he dies, and we never find out.
Brutal game.
Yeah.
That would be this lad.
That would be this lad.
The glyph of the impenetrable door.
Unfortunately, you have chosen poorly.
Wait, what?
Oh no.
As you do so, energy surges.
It's a fucking cupboard. Oh,
Energy surges, and I tick another tick on the apprentice expires.
No.
Meanwhile, Mr. Cutter, you are directly approaching the magician in melee, which he does not like. He speaks aloud, he extends his arms like so, and speaks a loud syllable, and you are thrown backwards. This surge of energy is more, however, than he can spend, so he must spend some of the boy's life force to do so.
Everyone.
We have ticked 5 out of 6 of the segments on The Apprentice Expires. Mr. Cutter, you are thrown back a few steps. You would be thrown fully into the wall and take 1 harm, but you may resist that if you wish.
Well, it's gonna be level 2 harm because my levels are full. think I'm just gonna take it, because if he does anything else, I want to be ready to do that. So, ouch. I get hit by a wall.
Okay, so you take level 2 harm, and I think we're going to call that concussed. I think that's you get the back of your head slams against the wall, which is going to be -1 die to most things that you do, since they almost all involve using your head in one way or another. Okay, who would like to go next? Mr. Spider, do you want another go at the circle?
Yeah. I think next one is the kitchen cupboard, which was that one.
Is it
No.
not this one?
No, that's the labyrinthine maze. Oh, the labyrinthine maze, which is not the stairs. My own note system has fucked me in the arse once again.
Would
They
you
were
please
revealed.
indicate
1,
exactly
2,
which
3.
glyph you are expunging, Izzy?
This is why Izzy never plays the smart characters. I would like to swap with Bree for a bit, please.
Izzy, was that you double clicking there?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
there.
You expunge that glyph. Nothing appears to happen except I fill in another segment.
I'd be the
boy
himbo now. I don't like being the smart one. My
is
ego can't handle it.
Saved.
It's okay.
Okay, very nice. Anyone got anything they want to do with the magician?
I don't want to tread on anyone's toes. We are missing 2 glyphs. We have only had, as far as we know, 1 opportunity where we've destroyed a glyph. The 6th glyph should be theoretically in this room.
What do you mean
Right?
the 6th? No, because
Oh.
we didn't get the one on the door.
Oh,
There are
then
6 segments to the clock, but there are only 5 glyphs. A minor help has been okay.
hit me.
No, I see what you. I understand what's happened. I get you. Mike, there's no such thing as a 5-segment clock. Come on, what kind of universe would we be living? Come on, Michael.
I want to do something. I'm open to suggestions. I've not acted for a while. I could assist in the grappling of the.
I
No.
think if
I don't wanna touch
if
him.
none of you
I
do anything,
have things I might do. I assumed that Hound was going to be like physically quicker than Slide in acting if he was doing it. But if
But I don't.
No,
I
I don't want to move
go-
anymore.
I don't
want
have
him
anything
defending
specific,
himself.
so you go ahead.
okay, Slide is going to turn to the wizard and go, "All right, chap. You understand if anything does happen to that boy, then it's all gloves off for you. We can all be very rational people about this situation. No one really wants to see any more blood spilling on this, do we now?
yes.
You do?
Mm.
Well, the problem is he dies, then it's nastier ending for you. Well, do you have any grand plan after he's gone?
Oh,
Or is
yes.
this... Oh, yes. However, Slide is really just trying to fucking tank his attention by talking at him. That was all.
Mr. Slide, you have gotten his attention, and he launches a ball of lilac flame your way. He says, "Oh yes, Ramath!" And a ball of
what I
violet
wanted.
flame heads your way.
That was the opposite of what I wanted. So either I have to have some heavy armor on me, or...
You can attempt to resist with prowess.
Remind me how resist works.
You just would click on where it says prowess,
Mm-hmm. And I need a certain amount.
and then you automatically succeed at resisting, but you spend an amount of stress equal to 6 minus whatever you roll.
I will utilize some prowess then at this point. I will try to resist.
Yes,
It's a 4.
that's a 4. Excellent. So it only costs you 2 stress.
Oh, no, neat.
It is reduced to level 1 harm, supernaturally singed. Excellent. Okay, well he's gone. So Mr. Spider, I guess it's back to Operation Expungement.
Well, Hound had a go.
Oh, anyone can have a go.
Well, I mean, if we're all looking at,
It's not like an initiative order. You can,
well, the next thing is me doing those little glyphs in order to save our boy.
Mhm.
I think it's
So-
generally we're getting attention in various different ways, while Spider then goes after the glyphs. Appears to
Cool.
be the pattern that we're at.
I do
Yeah.
the next glyph then. Well, there's only one left, isn't there?
There are
No,
two.
there's-
you
No,
haven't
there's the
done.
2.
So it's the one you didn't have written down is the one you want to. 'Cause it's the
Pointy
door.
boy.
Okay, you expunge that glyph. There is no visible effect, but I move the boy is saved clock up 1 segment. Only 2 segments remain, and only 1 segment remains on the apprentice expires.
I think.
You are as much as killers as I. It is not too late for you to leave. I have far better uses for him than empowering my magics at this stage.
How do you think he can take on all 3 of us at once? And Slide is going to mutter, how do you think he can take on all 3 of us at once? And I'm suggesting that if all 3, if Hound, Cutter, and Slide all try to pile on him, that may mean that one of us gets to him before he can dish out some magic and kill the boy, giving Spider time to get the final sigil. That's my slightly dramatic
I
proposal.
like that. And like Cutter's already like grappling him, to a degree.
No, I got
thrown off.
concussed.
Okay.
So like Hound can pew pew, 2 of us can run in, some of us might get knocked down by something, but like
We just don't want to hurt him at all.
No,
though.
it's like we can't harm him, but we can all bum rush him and try and like tackle him to the
yeah,
ground.
sorry, yes, not attack him, yes.
So I think like Hound registers that and understands and goes.
We go in for a hug.
Okay. This is good. This is very dramatic. The states of this are if you fail, the boy dies instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is the worst devil's bargain.
I think this is happening at the same moment as Mr. Spider expunges the last of the glyphs. So, he's definitely distracted by that. So let's make this neck and neck, shall we? Both clocks are but 1 segment away from being filled. The last segment, of course, is that the boy is still within the circle.
Mm-hmm.
You rush. Your objective is to get one of you to actually latch on to this guy before he notices and manages to pull off his repulsion trick. In order to do that, therefore, I think what we will ask for is a lead roll led by Mr. Hound.
Oh, I want to lead it.
You're absolutely fine to lead it. The only reason I said Mr. Hound is because he was the one who was counting down to it.
It was Sly's idea too. I think there's arguments to be made for any single one of us.
Anyone can lead it. That's absolutely fine by me. This is, I think, pretty straightforwardly. Could be skirmish. Could be.
I'm
rack,
skirmish. I'm happy to
Well,
lead a skirmish.
I have a leader special ability
Ah.
where if I'm commanding us, I choose like one person. It says they continue to fight when they would otherwise break. They're not taken out if they suffer level 3 harm, and they gain +1 effect and 1 armor.
Nice.
So if I'm leading us, I give that to Mr. Hound, right? So even if you get injured or something, like he's not gonna.
Or is that just for the sort of
that
general
ability?
leading?
That ability is for cohorts. So that would be if you had an NPC ally in your party. That's for commanding a cohort,
Oh man,
not for leading a.
never mind. I no longer do that.
You can swap that ability out if you like, because I know you don't have any cohorts.
We don't have any cohorts. I totally didn't understand that then.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely. I understand that confusion, because those are all perfectly normal words you might use to describe this situation. But either way, anyone can lead this.
I think so.
Sure.
Okay, so
I will
all
skirmish.
3 of you roll skirmish.
Is there gain in spending? Yeah, I'm going to spend some stress on this.
You can absolutely spend stress on this. Remember, however, Mr. Slide, as the action leader,
Yeah.
you will spend stress to compensate for any failures.
Okay,
I-
then I will
do-
hang on to my hang on to my
I
stress
think
for
the
now.
stress spend is actually better off on anyone who might be deficient in skirmish.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you might end up traumatized.
I don't
my-
want to get traumatized.
Tis my turn.
What I'm also assisting my teammates. I would deliberately like to assist Mr. Slide,
Mhm.
because I had the foresight that we were facing down some sort of arcane fellow, and gave him the advice that I'd managed to pick up from casual reading of my tomes, being something along the lines of, don't forget, keep his focus distracted, shine a light in his eyes or something.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
So yeah, I think you get an extra die from that, don't you?
Cool.
It's pushing yourself without stress, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely.
Is this desperate?
This is certainly desperate, yes.
I always miss out on the desperate actions.
So
Well, you are to be fair, not the frontline fighty type.
I just mean I always miss
Desperate.
out on them.
effect is.
We'll see.
Do we have less effect because I'm supernaturally singed?
Do you have less effects? You're supernaturally singed. No, not for
Cool.
this, I don't think.
Cool. 1 bonus dice.
Mr. Cutter, you'll have less effect for your strange shoulder.
Right.
But it won't,
No,
I don't think it'll matter because someone else is
Boom.
leading.
3, 3, 6, 5 from Mr.
Okay.
Slide, and I get to take one of my prowess thingies because that was desperate.
It was indeed. Okay.
Okay, so I have mine is a less effect and a minus die.
Mhm.
But can I spend 2 stress to make it not
You
minus
can spend
die?
stress to make it 1 die. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And of course, I'm always open to devil's bargains.
But also I'm looking at my special abilities, right? If I misread that one,
Mhm.
there's another one that says not to be trifled with, where you can push yourself to do one of the following and perform a feat of physical force that verges on the superhuman.
Mhm.
Does that mean I get 1 dice if I use that?
Let's have a look at that one. What does it say?
Because it looks pretty cool.
You can push yourself to do one of the following: engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat. Right? Yeah. Yes, you could spend 2 stress to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That wouldn't add a die to this, but it might have an interesting. Hold on, you've got 2 dice in skirmish. You don't have 0 dice in this, do you?
Yeah, but it says bonus dice in this, and I have to take 1 away, right?
Oh yeah,
And it would leave me
you do.
1.
You do have to. You do, yeah.
So I'm spending 4 total stress. So I can't do that.
No, because this is pushing yourself, so you only would spend 2 stress. But your choice is between. This is complicated.
I just want to be cool and I don't want the boy to die.
Because this is a led action by Mr. Slide, I don't think this is you performing an act of supernatural strength. I think this is you pushing yourself to get your die back. If this is when you have a solo action next, absolutely do a superhuman feat. Absolutely. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, cool. Well, for right now, then I just don't want to lose the dice.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to kill him
you're not
afterwards,
you're not going to. Mr. Slide has rolled a 6. You have already succeeded. The question now is how much stress does it cost Mr. Slide to succeed?
Sorry, main. I got
Okay. And Mr. Hound, are you participating?
I'm participating. I would like to participate because I have a twisted ankle. I don't really want to bum rush the approach that badly. However, one of my special abilities as a sharpshooter, I may unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy. Not to wound, to suppress. And so he is quite a stoic, wizardly type. He's been quite unflinching. So I think the idea is, as Slide and Cutter go about their physical assault, I'm letting off shots to kind of zip past the ear, to try and get the muzzle flare in his eye line. I'm circling him just to try and disorientate.
Right. Okay.
So may I do a hunt instead?
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh.
Ooh.
Just a moment.
If that's against the rules, that's fine.
No. It's not that it's against the rules. It's just that I don't. You are part of this action, right?
Yep.
So I think you're still rolling skirmish.
Okay.
Because the point, this is a design philosophy question that I actually is difficult for me to wrap my head around from years of running D&D, which is that you're not rolling a skill, you're rolling an action, and your action is skirmishing this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're just doing it with a gun.
Yeah, I suppose skirmish does include like holding a position, assaulting. I can understand the merit behind that. In that case,
if you would like to make a devil's bargain, I have an idea.
What's your idea?
My idea is this. You will successfully draw the attention of this person to the point where, if you succeed, I will let this group action occur with no stress cost to Mr. Slide at all, and pretend as though Mr. Cutter rolled a 6. But whether you succeed or not, the reason you have managed to cause this distraction and prevent Mr. Kingsley Donovan from using the magic that will execute the boy instantly is because he fires the magic at you, hitting unerringly, but not you, hitting your gun unerringly.
Oof.
Not destroying it, but having some effect yet to be determined.
I mean, I got it, right? You can't let a deal like that go.
It's when I said some effect yet undetermined. That's pretty much how I get Mike to agree to a devil's bargain.
To be honest, the moment you say devil's bargain, I think I'm very unlikely to decline.
He's going to get an evil gun. He wants it.
Yeah. I'm going to spend 2 stress also to gain an actual die in skirmish. Desperate position, standard effect.
Evil gun and Cutter's evil hand.
Well, you don't have to spend stress for this. The devil's bargain is I'm offering you an extra die.
Oh, well then I will take it, and I have rolled a 4.
Okay, fine. So unspend any stress you might have
Slide
spent.
the best at skirmish in the party.
I'm garbage at it.
So, Mr. Slide, that is a success at a cost. So, Mr. Slide, as agreed in the devil's bargain, he was so distracted that actually, Mr. Cutter, you actually rolled a 6. So, Mr. Slide and Mr. Cutter bum rush this guy, knocking him completely on his arse. You've taken him completely by surprise because he was busy retaliating at Mr. Hound. Mr. Hound, you have successfully managed to make this happen. The cost is that you've become supernaturally singed, which is level 1 harm, which you can resist and completely negate if you wish to spend the stress to do so, as your gun crackles with arcane energies.
I'm going to take the singed on that.
Okay. So you have knocked the guy to the floor. I am now going to start a 4-segment clock. This 4-segment clock is called The Spell is Cast. Pinned to the ground, he begins to mutter arcane syllables. Energy is gathering. Mr. Spider, you can see the light fluctuating in the circle, and the boy is beginning to move uncomfortably. He is gathering a spell. When he casts the spell, something is going to happen. You must free the boy before this happens.
Well, the way to do that is to go for the last glyph.
You have expunged the last glyph. All the glyphs are gone.
Is there still that barrier that was there before when Slide attempted to approach him?
Do you attempt to cross the circle?
Well,
the barrier appeared when the circle was attempted to be crossed.
Right. Then I suppose if I'm going to have to get to the boy, I'm going to have to. And unless that's going to kill the boy, I have no way of knowing.
We have no better ideas, so if we're not desperately yelling, "No, Izzy, you fool!" In fact, I'm for fuck it. I don't know what else we do.
The only thing I would do, as soon as he started muttering, I want to put my hand into his mouth.
The boy?
No, the old guy who's muttering.
I mean, that's not really going to stop him, but if you want to get your fingers bitten off, you absolutely can. He might bite your fingers off.
Cutter the human jaw, the human jaw, please no.
Can I break his jaw off?
No, but the boy. We can't hurt him.
Anyway, it's Spider's
Right.
go.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. What do you do?
I did. I go in. I try in the circle, and he'll die or he won't.
All right. You attempt to cross the line of the circle.
What? I want to get to his wherever he's being chained up.
Yeah.
Which I
You would-
assume is in the circle.
I was just describing the events, if I may. You attempt to cross the border of the circle with its warding glyphs expunged in the correct order. The circle provides no barrier whatsoever and no longer is capable of harming the boy, who is now manacled to iron spikes in the bare earth of the cellar. No one heard that, I don't
You
think.
cut out.
but-
Oh, did I? I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even go high pitched.
No,
Did
there's
you
something
yell?
about Zoom that doesn't like when you go suddenly loud. I don't know. why.
Zoom hates my voice.
No, it's not the microphone.
What did you say?
Cutter, I
Yeah.
think.
I said
Oh.
in a loud and urgent tone.
I've got him.
Knew you though. Okay, well I'm gonna go help the boy.
And I guess so it's metal into stone. Likely has been hammered.
Mr. Cutter, you've left the magician.
I have to go free the boy.
Okay. Okay.
I feel this is Cutter's moment.
Miss-
I've had done my
Mr.
thing.
Mr. Slide said, "I've got him," and I said, "Okay."
My
Put him in a
reasoning being,
headlock, and then
my
I'm going to
reasoning
steal his
being this
lunch
looks
money.
like a job. My reasoning being this looks like a task for a strong person, not for a Mr. Spider.
Okay. I've moved time forward, so Mr. Cutter.
Yes, I would like to attempt to free the boy from
He is
the
not looking well, this boy. Very pale.
poor child.
I'm just rummaging through everything to see if I have anything that has a crowbar in it. God, this
Like-
spider has a bunch of nonsense.
Mr. Cutter, what action would you like to take?
Well, if I'm looking at it's just the boy and the manacles, and then they're hammered into the ground, right?
He's manacled to iron pegs that have been hammered into the ground. It's not stone, it's soil.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Then we're just gonna pluck those out.
Yeah, I thought it was stone. I'll
Me-
pull them out then.
I'm sure
yeah.
I think I said bare soil.
I don't remember. I'm panic. Let's take these out, Mr. Spider, because
Yeah, I would have tried to do. Yeah, I'll
They're
do
still well in there. They're certainly beyond the strength of a 12-year-old boy who's probably been malnourished to wrench out. But between the two of you, you can wrench the stakes out.
Mhm.
I'm going to advance the spell is cast clock because he's still casting the spell because he's still pinned, but he is attempting to come unpinned by Mr. Slide. So Mr. Slide, I don't roll dice in this system, as you know. So
Mhm.
essentially he is going to try to I think he's probably going to try and take control of the situation.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be you make me
Another skirmish check.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am going to spend some stress for an extra die because I do not want him breaking out at this point. That
Yeah.
would be very bad.
You've got the
as,
stress to spare.
We are going to do that. So what position are we at?
You are in a desperate position.
Yay!
Yay!
Effect standards.
Mhm.
Bonus dice 1 as I roll 4 dice for
Ooh.
skirmish. So that's 2. That's a 5.
Wow. 2 1s and 2 5s. That's fantastic. Okay. So yeah, I think he sort of he's kicking and kind of trying to
Mhm.
punch, but he can't build up any momentum. This is not the kind of fight he's used to.
Trying to keep him a bit like pinned down in this situation. Slide is not a strong man, but he is a quick man, and thus will have absolutely have been.
Oh, he's certainly spent many hours at school looking carefully at the vases depicting Greek men wrestling and studying their oiled bodies as they grapple in various positions. So he's very familiar with the forms of man.
Well, that's
Um,
just part. That's just part of a necessary public school
That is
education.
part
Yeah,
of the
I went to
necessary.
public school. What are you talking about? I'm a good Harrow boy. I know how to pin a man down.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So he does not. You successfully maintain control of the grapple, which is a phrase we shouldn't use, but I'm definitely using it.
I want to hop in just a
I have
little
a
bit.
question too. Well, he had the thing on his forehead that connected him to the boy. Is that still there? Or did that
no,
get dispelled?
when the last glyph was expunged, that disappeared from his head.
Okay, come on, Mr. Hound. Let's do a murder.
I mean, I do want to. However, Hound will first spare a extremely, almost uncharacteristically worried glance towards the boy, Spider, Cutter, the circle, in like a moment of definite uncertainty. Is my gun still crackling?
Oh yes.
Not sure about this one.
I'm going to tell you what
shot.
the gun will do out of character, and I think I don't know how Mr. Hound comes to have this information, but since it's so dramatic, and I want you to have this information, Michael, the next shot this gun makes will kill. The next shot this gun makes will kill as long as it hits, regardless of what armor the target may be wearing, regardless of any protection at all. If it hits, the shot will kill. This magic will not linger on the gun forever, but it's not going to disappear tonight.
That is very interesting. Good. I'm not going to use that gun. I'm going to use my other gun. But I think I do want to shoot this wizard in the head.
Mm-hmm.
I could see no reason not to shoot this wizard in the head. And actually, when I think about it, the wizard seemed pretty confident that he will survive this in some capacity, that he has plans beyond the boy. Maybe I do use this gun. I'm going to use this gun. I'm going to use the supercharged gun. I'm going to raise a shot towards the wizard. Aim. And I'm going to call out to the group. Give me one reason not to kill him right now.
No.
Do it. Do a shot.
There's no chance of you missing at point blank. I think that's pretty easy. So, as I promised, there is no blood from this shot. There's no smoke. And actually, Mr. Hound, there were no rounds left in the chamber. Nevertheless, bang! Something fired out of the gun. Perhaps the gun found a way to cast a spell. You'll never know. It's gone now. And he simply is dead. There is a hole in his chest that smokes with a sort of effervescent purple vapor that is as wide as if you'd struck him with a cannonball. And he is dead. The boy falls unconscious, but is still very faintly breathing and can be removed from the circle without difficulty.
I think Spider leaves the boy to Kata, who's probably the one that pulled him out of the circle and is nurturing.
I want the audience to know that I gave very serious consideration to the most dickish thing I've ever done as a GM. So that when Mr. Hound fired the pistol, I said, I never said the gun would kill the target.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided against it. I'm not a Fey Lord making a deal.
I was like, oh no, he's firing his own magic back at him. That's why I wasn't happy with
Robot
it.
fuel, robot fuel.
No,
Yeah.
you have successfully assassinated Kingsley Donovan.
Good.
Is that it? Is it done?
Hope so, because that's a bloody mess.
Oh.
I'll pay for the dry cleaning.
The what?
Whatever cleaning. Wet cleaning. Regular cleaning.
I think it's fine. I think I'm throwing this out. Where am I taking this covered in blood?
I am going to have a look around this chamber.
That gun wasn't aimed at his torso,
No, it wasn't.
because otherwise that would have gone straight through me.
He'd done something to it. Maybe not intentionally, but he'd done something.
Oh well, hoist on his own petard.
I want to learn how to replicate that.
Slide looks around the room and then looks at the child and then looks back at Hound and says, I really don't.
What you can see as you look around this room is there's a table on one wall that's arrayed with all manner of equipment. You can see various, you can see bundles of candles. You can see piles of uncut but probably still pretty decent quality gemstones. And you can see large rolls of yellowed paper. On these large rolls of yellowed paper are various diagrams. You would call them, in the crudest sense, magic circles. They are much more complicated than the ridiculously simple thing you've just interrupted. You have no beginning of understanding of what these are or could be for.
Mr.
The
I think-
library expands.
They come with us.
I think Mr. Spider likely sweeps up all that his load will allow for, reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out the calling card.
I'm going to suggest we don't do that.
I don't know.
This man is not an employee of Mr. McCreary.
That's true. It doesn't matter. He was freelancing, being a creep.
You
I
said
suppose-
that there were some good quality gemstones.
Yes, yeah.
Perhaps then it is worth making a gift to McCreary.
Then yes, that's a good idea. Leave the card.
Oh, that is smooth. Oh, Mr. Spider. Mr. Spider, have an experience point for that, because I freaking love that. That is smooth. Yeah. So yeah, they're easily worth 3 coin. You could keep some of yourself. I mean, McCreary's not expecting a cut from this, but
Mr.
absolutely.
McCreary insists on a kickback. I will ensure he gets his kickback.
Absolutely. McCreary will be happy with 1 coin for the trouble of having to find a new magician, but ultimately this will resolve quite happily for you. This man was not an employee of McCreary's.
I like
It's
the
a
idea
not-
that in the closing shots of the episode, like McCreary gets like a little package and it's like some gemstones, and he's like, with the little gentleman stranger's card, and he's like, "What are those guys been up to?"
So the scene with McCreary goes like this. McCreary's up at his undertaker's office. He's doing the books, and there's a knock at the door, and one of his boys comes in, and he says, "Boss, we heard from Donovan." What? And he drops the gentleman stranger's card, and McCreary's like, "Fuck's sake!" And then there's another knock at the door, and the guy comes in with the patch coins and said, "From the gentleman strangers." And McCreary goes, "Fair's fair," and just sort of forgets about it. Very smooth, Mr. Spider. Very smooth. That's certainly a calculation in conspiracy. I like that a lot. That's very good.
Very good.
So you've rescued the boy. I assume you're not going to bother disposing of the body, and you might if you want, but
I don't think I'm going to get much money for this, so I have no interest in that body.
no.
However, I do want to go and see that doctor. Specifically, I want to grab Cutter with the boy and say, I think we can get him some help.
Right. Is the poor little boy. He's 12.
If I guess at the top we're parting ways, like Mr. Spider will. I have no idea whether you guys have coin, but since he's got the stuff from the sting, we're not going to give you gems because we're not fantasy characters who can pay doctors in gems. But he will give you a coin, you know, a wodge of money to be like for the doctor.
Thanks. Cool. Cutter, I'm concussed, right? So I'm looking at you, but every so often my eyes are like together.
Yeah, I'm going to see if he can have a look at you too.
And Mr. Spider, there is one last thing you find as you sweep the room. It is a small leather-bound book filled with loose leaves that are of various sizes and qualities of paper. They are full of handwritten notes in a language you cannot begin to guess what it is. Some of them are accompanied by diagrams, some of them are not. Some of them are written in very short lines as though they are copying out some verse or other.
But it isn't Enochian.
It's not Enochian, no. No. There are some fragments of some of the pages in the very beginning have English headings. There is one which says, for to find that which has been lost. There is another which says, for to seek that which cannot be found. And there is another, for to smite with thunderbolts. After that, the code seems to get a bit more refined and it becomes a jumble. Into the inventory. Please remember to add Mr. Donovan's spellbook to your notes.
I'm excited.
You broke up so much, but it was so clear what you said.
I did that on purpose. I figured I'd make a feature of it.
So yeah, you take the boy, who is just, he's so fragile. You take the boy to your, not normally you're supplying dead bodies to this particular doctor, and he's quite surprised to find you delivering a live one. And I think he makes some grim joke like, I'm not dissecting him, he's still breathing.
Would you believe I have the boy's best interests at heart?
No comment.
Could you also have a look at my associate here?
Mm-hmm. So a look at he is absolutely baffled by these strange burns. I think he's going to. I think he goes with. He says something like some sort of acid. And sort of leaves it there, but he's obviously not completely convinced by his own hypothesis, but he can't imagine anything that could have caused this. He recommends the usual salves you would recommend for a corrosion of some kind. As for the boy, he says he has no idea from a glance what could be wrong with him. Has he lost any blood at all? He looks deathly pale.
Not that I've seen. I think he's been kept in poor conditions, and I'm hoping he's
thin as a rake. I'll feed him up, see what I can do with him. I'll keep you informed of his progress.
Thank you.
And you return to your Millennium Club, where Amelia has burned it down.
Oh gosh, I was wrong.
I want on the way back. I just wanted to talk to Mr. Hound. Hang on, I need to sit on my feet for this.
Oh goodness.
Oh, you're dishing.
I know I didn't say anything before when there was an argument going on about our dear guest Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
But I was on your side. I just didn't think it would help for them to know that at the time, in case things got spicy. Wait, that's not.
I think that's perfectly apt.
In case things got spicy. But I just wanted you to know that I would have your back no matter what. And I think we demonstrated that today again, but if it ever comes down to us and them, I'm choosing us.
Whoa.
Mr. Cutter, I must say, the idea of you having my back has never been far from my mind. I would go as far to say that I trust each and every one of them, but none more so than you. You're the reason I brought her. I think in that moment we possibly cut back to that stairwell interchange as we did earlier in the episode, and I think we get the first glance that Hound had the shot trained where Amelia was talking from, and assuming that the bullet would pass through the wood of the stairs, he probably had a kill shot at that moment. And it's the first look we get at the trembling hand, the hesitance, and it's Cutter's words resonating through him that cause him to lower the gun. I think it's just like a snippet of the ferocious interchange from Cutter when she was like, "We must go and get her." And cut back to the scene at present. It was for you.
Well, despite what the others might say, I think you have excellent judgment then.
Very kind of you to say. Although, I didn't know what was going to happen when I pulled the trigger back there. I hoped he'd die. I suspected he'd die.
I was a little frightened that it would kill the boy instead. I don't understand any of this. I hate it.
I hate it too. And that's why I want to defeat it. We'll get there. We've got time.
Right you are. Yep. I'm super British. You're welcome.
Super British. I'd like Mr. Hound to have an experience point, please. These couple of cutbacks you've had to that scene with Amelia in the abandoned house have just been fantastic. So I'd like you to have an experience point for those.
Chills. I have chills.
I can distribute experience points. I'm sure I'm allowed to do that. And on top of it, all of that, I'd like all four of you to have another experience point for what has been probably the best session of roleplay since Gentleman Strangers started. All round. Absolutely spine-tinglingly good.
You have one too.
There was
Thanks, I will. Madam Whisper from the beyond the grave can level up slightly. You don't want that necessarily. Yeah, okay. So we won't do downtime. We will do downtime, but we'll do it between now and the next season because it's getting to 10 to 8. Let's do your payoff. So you gave a coin's worth of probably just gave raw stones to McCreary. He knows what he's doing with those. So you got 2 coin from that.
This or shall I?
I'm not doing it. I'm going to read out what you got.
Okay, I'm doing it now.
You got 2 coin from that. Let me just get the thing. I want to make sure you've got the right thing. Oh, there will definitely be heat for this.
Oh no.
However, now you cannot get any more reputation because you've got your reputation bar is full. You need to get 8 coin to be able to upgrade your tier.
We keep getting injured.
Yeah, that is true.
Ooh.
So payoff. You get reputation. You stop to minus score, protected citizen, retribution from age score, several citizens avenged. You would have gotten 6 rep, I think, for this because you definitely got retribution for some shit and avenged several citizens. This would not have been the first kid to die at the hands of Mr. Donovan. You earn 1 coin per tier of the target. So actually have another 2 coin.
Can someone hold those coins for me?
I will.
I'm taking 1 back. I spent 1 this round then.
I'll take 1.
Heat. So this was contained. So it's 2 heat, but plus 1 heat plus 2 heat because there was a killing involved. So that's
We've maxed out our heat bar. We're full of heat.
That's 4 heat. You're full of heat. That means you gain a wanted level. What a nice way to end the season.
Oh,
that
God.
means we have another cutscene. We have a cutscene where this time the card of the Gentleman Strangers ends up on the desk of a detective inspector.
Ooh.
And the detective inspector goes, hello.
I can't wait to meet him. What a rich character.
Next season sounds like a very Mr. Spider season.
So you now officially have the attention of Her Majesty's Constabulary. Congratulations. What a lovely way to end the season. That's really fantastic. You have not damaged your reputation with McCreary. You've absolutely fortified your reputation of mysteriousness. McCreary has no idea why you've done this. But I think in a way, the fact that you've done this with someone you must have known had business ties with him, I think he does respect you slightly more for that because he's like, the fucking brass balls on these people. I can't believe they've done this. They are clearly not as afraid of me as they should be, and we might have to do something about that down the line. But for now, cheers. So that's absolutely fantastic. So let's do some crew advancement then. You certainly interfered with supernatural operations and destroyed a monster. You did contend with challenges above your current station for a 2nd experience point. You did bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. You bolstered your crew's reputation for a 3rd experience point.
Boom.
And I think you might be 4 for 4. I think you expressed the goals, drives, inner conflict or essential nature of the crew. Inner conflict,
the people from
steerage
the
versus the prefects. Has someone been marking those off?
Me.
Fantastic. That's really brilliant. So let's quickly deal with individual experience, and then we can say our goodbyes.
So before we do that, I'm so sorry. I have a thought. We need 8 coin to level up, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we have 4 coin in the crew.
I have 2.
Have 1.
I had none.
I will pay the other coin. I can pay. Who needs to heal? Like I can cover it. I've not been healing at all. So like
but I'm less urgent than the others, I think.
So 1 from Slide, 1 from Hound, 2 from Spider. We can spend the 8 coin and level up.
Let's do it.
How much coin do you? Wait, you've got 4. I have 2 coin on me. You have how many coin on you?
Me?
Yeah.
4.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've already got the 8, and then if anyone needs healing, they can be... Oh, in which case, an even better way.
Just
congratulations, you are now a tier 1 faction. Obviously, because you're not a crime syndicate, this doesn't represent the gangs under your control. But what this represents in a gang of vigilantes is the strength of your information network, your ability to leverage that network to get favors. I think you've all demonstrated that you've been using your information network. It now means that you are at tier 1. All of your equipment is tier 1, except for fine things, which are tier 2. So you have indeed that 8 coin you've basically spent on buying new gear and upgrading a few bits and pieces, paying off a few contacts who might want paying off, that kind of thing. Congratulations, that's fantastic. You have a wanted level. You've gone up tier 1. You now have weak hold at tier 1. That is absolutely fantastic. Let's do character experience, shall we, Mr. Cutter? Mr. Cutter, have you already marked your desperate action experience points?
Yes.
Okay. Did you address a challenge with violence or coercion?
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe so. I think you're allowed 2 experience points for that because you did a lot of violence and coercion.
Okay.
Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I mean, not for plot.
Did you at
Doesn't
all in the
matter.
session?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think you showed the paranoia bit where you were checking all the surfaces for illusions and all that. Thought that was
So
great.
I leveled up, but
You've
now,
leveled up.
okay, well, I have to pick special abilities at some point, but yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Mr. Hound, Mr. Hound, have you marked off any desperate actions that you've
I
rolled?
have, yes,
Okay, did you address any challenge with tracking or violence?
violence, certainly.
I think so. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I would like to think so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you struggle with issues? I mean, I think specifically in the very opening scene where a challenge was made against your essential nature, that seemed pretty iconic to me. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
See,
Oh, yeah.
yes, it's kind of the same struggle as has been going on.
Yeah.
But it's persisting.
But you had a scene where members of the team expressed that they've lost trust for you as a result of your actions taken because of that new trauma scar. So yeah, 100%. I see your resolve has filled up, so that's great.
Oh yeah.
So you can sort that out, Mr. Slide. Mr. Slide, you made a different action and you did mark your experience points.
Yep.
I remember you saying that. Okay, did you address a challenge with deception or in influence?
Influence, I did. I gathered information that with influence.
You absolutely did. Yes, you did. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Yes, I would say so. Specifically in making sure that Amelia's got to be set up somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
I
you can't
love
just
that.
send her off.
Now that we've got her, we have to have her as we're gentlemen and she's a guest and we have to make sure she's comfortable. No, that's fantastic.
I
Very
level up.
important.
You level up. Yes. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas? You're currently the only one without a trauma, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't have a trauma and my vices weren't a problem.
Okay.
I just really wanted to party all session.
Mr. Spider.
What?
Did you address any challenges with calculation or conspiracy? Yes, you did. We've already given you an experience point for that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I believe I did. I believe
agree.
I did, sir.
Yes, you did.
The prefects were very good today.
They were very good prefect. You almost gave Mr. Hound detention.
He's on a warning.
Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas?
I think absolutely, because I have begun to represent part of Mr. Spider's haunted trauma as his fanatical pursuit of knowledge of the arcane in a very different way to how Mr. Hound does it. But also, I can backform the fact that Izzy made a dumb and footling error as the haunting of Mr. Spider.
I don't think I don't think it was a dumb and footling error. Like it was an easy mistake to make.
No, I meant my notation system was dumb because I didn't know the order was important.
That's entirely fair. Okay, I think that's everyone. Yeah, and we'll do downtime at some point in between. Everyone who's been watching, thank you so much. This is the close of Volume 1, First Blood. We'll be back in January with Volume 2, TBD. I would like to think that 2 weeks hence, we might do a non-sequential Christmas special. I don't know who'll be around for that, but I'll put that to the team in between weeks and we'll see what can be done. But look out for announcements on the Discord or on Twitter about that if we do go forward with that. Look out for something else as well, because we have just today experienced a very special anniversary. Today is 3 years since the It You crew was founded. And indeed, next Saturday will be 3 years since the very first session of a Trash Crew game, which I think was Voice of the Mountain.
I was wearing this sweater.
And Bree was wearing that exact sweater. So this is a very special period of time for us. I think there is a plan for something next Saturday. There is a plan for a celebratory anniversary one-shot. But I think that's going to be in Praxis Descends garden. She's going to deal with that. So look out for
love
an
my
announcement
garden.
on Twitter and on
Great garden.
Discord about that. I hope you've enjoyed this first season of Gentlemen Strangers.
I know
Blades in the
have.
Dark has taken a lot of getting used to for all of us. It involves very different mindsets, very different skills, certainly from a GM's point of view, and I think from a player's point of view as well. There are still some things we're probably doing wildly wrong because we've all been spoiled by other systems somewhat. Blades in the Dark has a very different and unique way of doing things. Personally, I'm loving it. And every time we do a session, I think we're getting a lot closer to doing it exactly as it should be. This, for me, was probably my runaway favorite session because we actually did make time for role play, which sometimes in Blades in the Dark feels a bit like it's the side thing. But this was great. The plan was great. There was even time for me to do some weird labyrinth stuff, and that was fun. So I hope you've all been enjoying it. We will be back in January with more, and there will be surprises in January. There will be surprises. So make sure you're here for the beginning of Volume 2. I think that's everything from me. Over to Praxis Descends, who wants to read out a list of very special people who are on the It You Trash Crew nice list.
The lovely list. Even the Hinderkinder. I want to apologize, however, to our trash fam in that I didn't know this was the finale of Book 1 of The Gentleman Strangers. As you know, it is often my whim to read out the list of patrons of a finale with interesting facts about all the patrons. However, I did not have time to extensively research these facts, as I often do. So I can promise you that I will make it up to you with a list in the future. I am told that my lists are both accurate and edifying to anyone who wishes to know about them. So that's a fun thing for you to look forward to. And there's still time to join our Patreon list if you wish to be part of that very important research project, patreon.com/itucrew. But in the meantime, trash bags at the ready, if you will, for this selection of fine, fettered individuals who judge us not for our terrible footling errors, but only edify us for our joyful, exalted triumphs. Anyway, lots of love to Ken Poyner, Kiwi Tokoeka, Photosynthetic, Elegos Alexander, Michael Kreese, Andre Cherepnin, Lucas Justinian, Lou Sutcliffe, Socky, Henry Prestige, Caffeine Kitty, Hobbs 138, Mike Kilburn, Amy C, James Malloy, Mike Fielding, Michael Bowman, and of course everybody's favoritely named member of the Trash Fam, the OG Trash Fam Lamb, Helena and Basket.
That was a Christmas miracle.
Oh.
It's season finale. It's a season finale miracle.
It's been so long since I've heard my name.
You'd begun to forget what it was. What am I called?
It's
Hey,
Michael.
you boy, what's your name? Why, sir, it's Michael. very fine fellow.
Fetch me a turkey, I guess. I can't wait for the Christmas special to kill Ebenezer Scrooge. That's going to be amazing.
No,
Maybe you have to
can it
kill the
be-
ghosts that are haunting Ebenezer Scrooge.
maybe.
I want a ball. I want a ball.
Jacob
I want a
Marley
ball.
is on the run, haunting the denizens of London, and you have to
No,
stop.
Brie. Sorry, it's orb. We say orb.
Uh,
A fancy orb.
a fancy. Orb.
Look, also, you say that, but maybe the Gentleman Strangers can kill the character assassination, which is people taking Scrooge as the way he is at the start of the book, rather than how he is at the end of the book. You go, you're such a Scrooge. Oh, you mean I've learned the true meaning of Christmas? I'm very generous and friends with all my neighbors. Lovely, thanks. I guess I am a Scrooge. He keeps Christmas in his
God.
heart at the best of times.
Oh boy.
Is he gonna-
My goodness. Oh my
Scrooge has been
cut.
robbed.
I didn't know. Bye.
Say